See, I used up the hair start, and now I'm like, how do I start an episode?
The hair start.
Like, oh, we don't have hair like 80s kids, but Stranger Things. So I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to go with the rest of it. Alright, I got one.
Okay.
Well, we may not be in Austin, Texas, but we're here to talk Gibberpish, aren't we, Dom?
Yep. What's going on in Austin, Texas? Apart from RTX?
Right now, it's just RTX.
Right now,
so it was just the kind of lead into the first thing I wanted to get your story on, or your opinion on, was misbehaving Rooster Teeth fans. I think that's the most charitable way to put it. So,
okay. Just as a general rule of thumb, you should never misbehave at a convention, because I've come across people who have, and I should legally be allowed to punch you fuckers in the face because you take it too far every time. I'm looking at you, Deadpool cosplayers.
Yes. Well, someone...
Fuckers.
Actually, it's weird that you tell about taking it too far. I think this is actually the source of it. Talking about this incident with a fellow RT fan last night, and there's been two incidents. One of which was, are you aware of the moonball thing that Achievement Hunter do?
Yeah.
It's like a really detailed rubberized ball that they throw.
It's designed to just nutshot Gavin free time after time.
They actually home in on his nuts. He doesn't know this yet, but they do.
Yeah.
So the running thing has been that you have a moonball in the office, and you can throw it if you follow the following rules. One, it's not directly thrown at someone, because that's cheating. Mm-hmm. The idea is you get to bounce it off of the wall, and you must call all moonballs. There are rules to these type of things. And it's a good laugh because everyone in the office knows what's going on, and if somebody shouts moonball, you just fucking duck and hope it doesn't hit anywhere sensitive. So
no nutshots.
This week during RTX, they're doing a lot of Achievement Hunter Live stuff, including an actual Achievement Hunter Live, which is just them doing the usual Achievement Hunter shtick in front of a live audience for like a couple hundred people, maybe even a couple thousand people. It's been an interesting project that they've developed, and it really does help change them from being kind of regular content creators to a performance in their own rights. And it started a couple of years back. There's actually an RT documentary about the process of making AH Live, which will become Let's Play Live, which is how they kind of sell it now, is because they involve people from the Let's Play family of people they now work with. But it started off as just being Achievement Hunter, and every now and again for conventions they'll do Achievement Hunter Live, where it's just Achievement Hunter guys doing Achievement Hunter things. Mm-hmm. And someone lobbed a moonball at a couple of members of the team when they were on stage. Okay. Just somebody from the audience just shouted moonball and lobbed the ball into the stage performance, like they were part of the act. And I think we talked about taking things too far. We're talking about with a friend just saying we think it's people want to get in on the act.
Yeah.
People want to feel like, because these are like internet content creators, are some people's best friends in a way.
Yeah.
It's not a healthy relationship. It's not one I'd recommend, but some people view things that way, where they say, oh, I watch all the Achievement videos, they're like my best friend, therefore if I do dumb shit, they'll love it as much as I love them doing dumb shit. So somebody lobbed a moonball. I think it hit like a beer out of Gavin's hand and then bounced onto like Ryan's head or something like that. Like, what the total fucking cunt move. And it resulted in RTX's official Twitter having to put out a statement saying, if you throw things at our talent or at our staff or at other members and like patrons of the convention, you will be removed and no refund will be given.
Quite rightly. My thoughts on it, just taking you back to the whole people see them as their best friends. I think when you're so public, when you're so readily available, people can you can go on YouTube right now and type in Gavin Free Moonball or Achievement Hunter Moonball, and you can watch that shit. People want to be in on the act. People think that it's a shared joke between just them. People get very possessive about shit like that, because they think, no, Moonball's my thing. Yeah. And then when they go to
Moonball's our thing, like ours as in like the viewer and me with Achievement Hunter.
Yeah, this is our private thing. Yeah. And then when they go to the stage, they just think, oh, they're going to find this so funny, but in actuality, you just come across as a bit of a douche. Yeah. And a bit cunty.
And I've been talking about this with like family members. We're talking about like the fact that stalking was a lot more rare, or maybe it just wasn't discussed as much. It's kind of hard to tell which way it was going. But I don't remember being that many. There's occasionally obsessive people who have mental requirements that need to be met. Yeah. Like people who have unhealthy obsessions with people and stalk them because they're famous in movies. But I don't think I think we'll see more of that as we get onto more personality based content. Yeah. And there's a lot more of that will come up, and I think it's like unhealthy obsessions, because the things that are being made are based around a person's actual personality. You feel closer to the actual people making the movie or making these YouTube videos. And I think it's things like this are a little indicator of bigger issues to come. The second thing that happened was that it was during they do theatre mode live as well, which is like the theatre mode videos are actually pretty good. It's you sit down for like kind of commentary on an old movie.
So it's kind of Mystery Science Theatre.
Yeah.
Right, cool.
It was heavily inspired by Mystery Science Theatre, and they've actually that came back on Netflix. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, they brought it back, but with Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
Played the main character.
So they've been working on doing that, and they started doing that live as well, including bringing one of the directors for one of the movies in to rip his own movie to shreds, and that guy took it like a champ and actually got in on it because it's they use deliberately like schlocky movies.
Yeah.
So it was it's a lot of fun. It's well received. It's an interesting way of making content, and it's good. It's a good show. But they had an issue where the movie didn't play. So it then just became like an hour long, like kind of improvised stage kind of comedy show. But at one point, one of the people in the audience started just yelling shit at Alfredo Diaz, who is a member of Achievement Hunter. I love Alfredo. He's a great member of the cast.
I did watch an episode of Funhouse where they played Apex Legends, and he had a stupidly great kill streak.
I don't know if he actually played in like MLG or anything like that, but he is a pro tier gamer.
Yeah.
They actually had a good thing. They did like a series of sponsored videos where he was trying to push for platinum on Rainbow Six Siege, which is one of the hardest and like most competitive environments in PC gaming right now. Is this, and he was it was used to show off a fancy computer that I think it was I think it's like HP's
the Omen series.
Omen series. Yeah, I think they were trying to showcase one of those. But they just used Alfredo and said, look, do you want to take one more crack at going like top tier player? Because the diamond tier is like 0.1% on the player base. It's absurd.
Yeah.
My brother's not trying to do it every year. I think they've managed it twice. Like every season they reset the status, and you got to try and get like a winner. The actual rate of winning you have to achieve is like you can lose 2 games out of maybe 15. If you want to try and achieve diamond tier.
That seems way too much of an investment.
It gets frustrating, and but he's a great part of the cast. He fills in that kind of actually good at games qualification that sometimes you need in a group like Achievement Hunter, and somebody was just yelling shit at him, like absolute abuse. Like not just about heckling and stuff, but somebody just decided to just go after Alfredo, and I'm like, why would you heckle it? But again, I think it's that thing of people want to feel like part of the gang.
Yeah, people don't see that there's boundaries. It's weird to think that. It's weird that we now think that, but people don't see boundaries with people online. Take the Alana Pierce thing. People just seen, pretty woman on social media. She's clearly open to things. I'm going to...
She likes video games. I like video games.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to her. Then I'm going to, say all this
obsessively
different
stalk
shit.
her for decades.
There's no barrier between the person watching the videos or looking at the pictures and the person posting them. And then they just think, I've sent him a couple of Twitter messages. We're friends. I can shout whatever the fuck I want to him. He's public. He'll take it.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very sad state of affairs that we're now in.
Yeah.
That people just feel that it's comfortable to just heckle the shit out of people on stage. Because you got to imagine, it's fucking nerve wracking for people to do this.
Yeah. No matter how many times you go up there as well, like there's always going to be those the pre-fight jitters.
Yeah, the pre-show jitters. The best example, the best allegory I've heard for this is you could go on stage and perform a piece of drama, a piece of theatre 1,000 times, but there's nothing stopping you getting nerves 1,001 times.
Yeah,
it's always going to be there because there's always that worry. What if I fuck up?
Yeah,
that person who's gone up to perform does not need you going, "Hey, Alfredo, you're a good gamer, mate," or shouting whatever cunty bullshit he did at him.
Yeah,
just think about it. People don't think about things nowadays. They just. They don't engage the brain before they start shouting guttural feral sounds at people. Yeah,
and it's a shame because it's happening within like the Rooster Teeth community, which I know as being a great community. Yeah, there's oddballs, there's issues that will happen inevitably when you have a group of a certain size, but at the same time, you were just kind of hoping that we wouldn't have to deal with this type of bullshit. We wouldn't need a statement from RTX's official Twitter saying, "Hey, don't throw shit at the people we've brought out to entertain you."
I also think it's kind of a respect issue as well.
Yeah,
because obviously we come from the era where it's just no matter what, you respect people.
Yeah,
they could be from a different walk of life, they could have a disability, they could be different sexual orientation. You fucking respect them. I don't think there's any of that nowadays. I think parents nowadays are dropping the fucking ball. There's no respect. And then when they see, again, it's all to do with this public persona. They just think, oh, they're out in the public anyway. They're used to being disrespected. I'm going to continue to disrespect them.
Maybe respect the barrier between a private life and a life lived on the internet as an entertainer. But I think people are struggling with that.
Ultimately, it's just their choice, or their choice of job to make money.
Yeah.
This is how they've chosen to make money. Let them do it without harassment, because you wouldn't harass a construction worker on site. You wouldn't harass a lawyer in an office. You wouldn't harass a scientist in a lab.
Yeah.
Why would you harass someone performing live? Again, it's different for stand-up because that's kind of part of their job. They need to prepare for heckles, but at the same point, if someone's doing a stage show, let them rock out. Yeah. Don't be a dick. Let
the performance happen. Don't heckle. And I just don't see what you would get out of an experience where you're like, I was that one guy who just yelled shit at Alfredo Diaz that one time. You know, I think the right move was the we'll eject you and you will receive no refund.
So this the don't be a dick of the week is
those two
dickheads from RTX. Don't be a dick. Don't piss on people when they're trying to just give you a good show.
It's not hard.
Yeah, respect is not hard.
Yeah,
it's very, very easy to do. You just shut up. Shout out when it's appropriate. Audience participation is always very fun.
Yeah,
but not just when they're sitting there talking about the movie. Don't just shout, "Oh, Alfredo," or throw a fucking moonball at people. That's just, especially if you're going to knock a beer at someone's hand. That's just dickhead.
I'm looking forward to seeing what is said and done about this, because on the one hand, I don't think it would be discussed by members of RT. I think members of the community, like myself, should be discussing it and throwing it down and saying, look, disgusting, abhorrent behaviour. Maybe fucking slow your roll there, you fucking bitch.
By all means, you don't want to crush the level of participation, but you want to police it a bit.
You do want to make sure everyone's participating in a way that's actually beneficial as opposed to being a twat.
You want to be inclusive of everybody, but you want to be exclusive of dickheaded behaviour.
But at the same time, I think we won't see much from RT about this, because it is dickish, it is childish, and I don't think they want to give it attention, give it more kind of air.
I think you might get some of the hosts having a little jab at it, but I don't think there'll be much.
I don't think they do that. No? I think that's a bit much. I think that's the just the right amount of oxygen this thing needs to become an issue. Yeah. And you would see it happen again the next year and the next year after that, because I think they're very good at policing that internally in a way. I don't think we'd see too much information come out about it. But at the same time, I want to hear from people who were there and find out what's going on, because I'll be checking through the Twitter and trying to find out what actually happened, what was said, what was. I mean, I know that about the ball incident, but I didn't know anything about what was actually said to Alfredo. Because the thing as well is that he is of an ethnic minority, so if someone was yelling that shit at him, get that fucker ejected now. We don't have any time or place for that in RT community. Yeah. So
you need to deal with that shit, and it's a very fine line to tread, because you could start policing things just saying don't shit that, but where you need to find that little sweet spot of keeping the talent and the hosts and stuff safe, and curtailing what the crowd can shout at people. Yeah. But I mean, the people at Rooster Teeth are smart guys, smart women, men and women. They know what they're doing. They just need to talk to the people, and I don't think they're totally unreasonable. The fans, they'll be able to say, right, you took that too far. Make sure it doesn't happen again.
And these are just outliers. I mean, this is one of the first incidents I've ever really heard of coming out of an RTX like this. I just think it's a couple of outliers, but it needs to be dealt with properly, and hopefully we get things all sorted out and we don't have to reflect on this much more than we already have.
Probably a couple of fucking Kyles anyway.
Yeah, a bunch of Kyles. Yeah. Monster energy drinks.
Fuck them.
We both had Monster today. That's a bad. You had Monster during our recording of our Stranger Things episode, and I had Monster this morning. I got those tall cans.
Yeah, the tall tins are bad. I used to think it was only 3 millilitres extra you got, but it's 53 millilitres. Regular tin is 500 millilitres. The Mega Monsters, they are Mega Monsters. 553. There's a lot of drinking in there.
You should know. The thing about these energy drinks is that they feel bad. Like the Red Bull feels bad, but it's small enough that you don't notice. Yeah, it's in you before you realise. Oh, I just did that to myself. Yeah. Oh, I should have just had a coffee. Oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Just a couple of sugars and a tea, and I guarantee you feel so much better than you would if you just drank a whole tin of Monster.
Yeah, but the Red Bull's gone before you realise it. A can of Monster, by the time you get to the end of it, you think, oh, this is a mistake. But I mean, I'm almost finished it. Yeah. By the time you're like halfway through a Mega Monster, you think, I'm going to die, and this is going to be on the death certificate.
I can feel my insides liquefying. But the reason why I had the Monster during the Stranger Things recording is I have an abscess right at the back here.
Fuck.
and it's all infected and swollen and stuff. So I'm on these antibiotics to reduce the swelling and the infection. Fucking things wipe me out, man.
Yeah.
I'm on one pill 3 times a day. Dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'm telling you, by the time I take one after dinner, I am ready for bed.
Yeah.
They just wipe me the fuck out. So that's why the monster was there.
That's so strange that an antibiotic has that level of effect.
It's because I don't take them often. I really don't take them. I try and avoid any kind of medication, really, because I like to give blood regularly, so I like to have that shit clean.
Ah, right.
And I've been told that after about 2 weeks, and the next donation's in the middle of August, so I'll be fine. But after 2 weeks from taking the pills, I'll be able to purge them all. Yeah. But yeah, I don't like taking antibiotics or medications, really. I'd rather just sleep it off, or take some water, and hopefully that kicks. Go for the homeopathic remedies.
Maybe we don't go that far.
I say that in the sense that I will just drink water instead of taking medication, because that's all homeopathy is. You fucks.
No, but it was water that's been left in starlight for 48 hours.
Yeah, it's been water that's filtered through diamonds. It's cost you $72,000 a bottle. I hate shows like that. My mum started watching them, and my sister-in-law, they talk about them all the time. Oh, did you hear about this show? They went to America and they went in a bar and they bought a shot that was $72,000. First and foremost, a shot takes you less than 3 seconds to drink. Even if it's a tall shot, less than 3 seconds to drink. Yeah. You're literally drinking $72,000. $72,000. Sort your shit out, drink makers. Stop making them so expensive. It's frustrating. That's what it is. It's frustrating.
My reference point for this is always whiskey, because Scottish. But the value of a whiskey comes from its aging process. Yeah. And it's because it's how long it spends in barrels, because it doesn't age in terms of, like, once it's in the bottle, that's it, it's done. Yeah. Nothing ages in the bottle, ages in the barrels. So it takes in the flavour of the barrel. So when you have like a 70, how much time is 72 grand for a bottle, let alone a shot? Because I mean, let's assume there's a bit of bar inflation there. The actual cost of the bottle would be about 150 grand.
Yeah, it's.
How much time is a bottle worth in that sense? Like,
how long do you have to let it age to be worth that money?
Like when you get to stuff like cognac, that it takes like 100 years. Yeah, it takes 100 years for something to be worth even kind of close to that amount of money. It's just you're paying for the experience. Actually, in terms of whiskey news, did you hear that a Jim Beam factory blew up?
I did not hear that. No.
There was an entire factory. They lost about 45,000 barrels or something like that. Yeah. Blew up somewhere in the US. I was like, oh my god, what? Like that? I can't wait for there to be a shortage of whiskey because a fucking a factory blew up.
Yeah, I can't imagine Jim Beam would make that much of a dent, because I had Jim Beam recently. Yeah, it's better than Jack Daniels, but I don't know how high that ranks it, because Jack Daniels is good drinking whiskey with a mixer. It's not great straight.
Oh no,
Jack Daniels is horrible. Gentleman Jack.
Oh yes,
the single barrel stuff. That stuff's good without a mixer.
The single barrel, there is actually a single barrel, the Masters collection. Oh my god, ridiculous. What the fuck did you people do?
Yeah, regular Jack Daniels, not great. Jim Beam's kind of a step above that. It's good on its own, but more often than not, you will just need to mix it with some cola or something. Yeah, those drinks are designed to be mixed.
Yeah, it's mass produced. I think it's going to change now because the alcohol pricing keeps going up again.
Yeah, alcohol pricing.
The 15 quid bottle. Yeah, that's where I think the limit is. Same with vodka, same with rum, same with tequila, or same with whiskey. If you have a $15 bottle, or £15 bottle, sorry, it's not that big a deal. The flavour isn't great.
Yeah, I mean, you're paying £13 for one of the little half bottles. Mm-hmm. The half bottles that you'd go into your granny's house and you'd see on the little stand thing that all grandparents have. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I wonder where they get them. Do you get a bus pass,
the bus
flat
pass
cap,
on the stand,
and the little nightstand to put your whiskies and stuff on? Yeah. It is always the cheaper whiskey. It's probably one of the first whiskies that you get introduced to, because it was my first whiskey. Yeah. But then I was given Black Label Jim Beam not too long after, and it floored me. But I was like, no, get rid of Jack Daniels. Yeah. Give me the Black Label Jim Beam. I lost a whole day on that shit.
Try the Devil's Cut.
The Devil's Cut.
It's a bit higher percentage. It is a fucking monster.
Have you tried the Red Stag Jim Beam?
Yes, the cherry one. Yeah. It's okay.
For someone who likes Dr. Pepper, I thought it was delicious. I thought it was great.
Have you tried the apple one?
No.
Disgusting.
It sounds it.
It is a serious problem. It should not be consumed by humans.
It's like the honey Jack Daniels. Anyone who tries to give me that, I should split them with the empty.
I found this was going to be my summer drink, but I never really bothered actually getting the bottles, getting the drinks, stuff like that.
It's a lot of work.
Jack Daniel's honey with peach iced tea. It is so smooth.
That sounds like it could really work, but it's the fact that there's not really much of a burn with Jack Daniel's honey. You need the burn on the whiskey to know that you've been drinking whiskey. It's a very smooth, sweet whiskey.
It would be very deceptive if you put in a lot of ice as well. Put in a lot of ice, a lot of iced tea, and then just a good measure Jack Daniel's honey. You could just, the whole summer, and you would not realise you'd be drunk for like 7 days in a row.
It sounds like the kind of drink that when you touch down in Atlanta, Georgia, they just serve you that. It's like, here's some Jack Daniel's honey with some peach tea. You have yourself a good time now.
You have yourself a good time? Enjoy the barbecue.
You're just sitting there sipping. You probably serve from one of those little mason jars.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of intrigued. I want to try that now.
It's good. We'll get it sorted out.
Actually, for Christmas last year, I bought my parents one of those coffee machines, the Dolce Gusto coffee machines.
Yes.
Which I fucking hate because those little coffee pods don't biodegrade.
Alright,
They do not biodegrade. They're a real problem. It's pretty fucking bad. But
we're losing the planet one coffee at a time.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I don't drink much coffee. Those coffees are delicious.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But you get little pods for iced tea. So I've been making some iced tea pods at them.
Nice.
And because I still drink regular tea because I enjoy just a little like hot cup of Builder's tea every so often.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good. But just during the summer, there's nothing more refreshing than an ice cold glass of say peach tea or just regular iced tea.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. So
I'll get it sorted for you next time you're up for the podcast. We'll get it sorted, and you'll be sitting there going, "God damn it! I'm gonna ruin the entire evening of my life just drinking this one glass at a time."
Yeah, it does sound pretty refreshing.
Refreshment is the name of the game, kids.
Yeah.
It's not always about being drunk. It's about
you can just. That's what bugs me because a few of one of my younger cousins is now of that age where he just wants to go out and get fucking hammered all the time. He turned 18. In fact, no, I think he might have turned 21. And now he just wants to go out and get fucking hammered all the time.
I was going to say kids these days, but kids back in our day as well.
Yeah, I think the minute you hit your teenage years, you're just like, right, fuck video games, fuck comic books, I want to go out and get smashed. But he so desperately wants to go out and get drunk. And we were at a sort of family get together, and he just started drinking weird concoctions. Like he had cider, Asahi beer, and cola, and he called it some weird concoction. I was like, that's just going to rot your stomach, dude.
Like, all of those should be drank separately from the other ones.
Yeah. What is this combination? Oh, we call it the fuck up or something. It's like, aye, because it will fuck you up. Drink some regular shit.
Why is the cola in there?
I don't know. I think he just had some shit left now, and I'm going to try this, boys. Hair sip.
Like, Asahi beer, very good.
Yeah,
cider,
delicious.
Good on a hot day. With cola.
Yeah.
Nah.
It's disgusting.
You done fucked up, kids.
Yeah, just stick to your regular drinks. And don't just drink to get fucked up as well. That was my original point. But then I got sidetracked on how angry that drink made me. He's always just like, oh, we go out and we got absolutely fucked up. Like, can you not just enjoy your drink?
Can't I see my feet at the end of the night?
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
I was wearing bright white shoes and I thought I was floating. I was like, okay, that's good. But did you enjoy the drink that you had? No, mate. I had 2 bottles of white shite. Spent £4. I was like, okay. How long did you have to wait in the hospital to get your stomach pumped?
Ugh.
That shit's paint thinner. Don't fucking drink. If it's in a shop and it's under £4 and it's labelled cider, Strongbow, White Lightning, White Star, don't fucking buy it. That's one to grow on from Uncle Dom.
Yeah. And I will say that it was an old hint from The Rock way back in the day, and he was saying about the top shelf stuff. You recover better from top shelf beer and top shelf booze.
Yeah.
Better than the cheaper like non-brand stuff. And I will say, having spent most of last night drinking Watch Evangelion with a bottle of Maker's Mark, can confirm.
Oh, yeah. Maker's Mark is so fucking good.
When we talk about quality whiskey, god damn.
Yeah. Although I did recently try Knob Creek whiskey.
Ooh.
Weird name, funny name. If you're a man-child than I am, but ridiculously good. Because at the same sort of family get together with my wee cousin, I had the bottle of Knob Creek with me. Yeah. I just kept saying, who wants a bit of knob? You want some knob? You want some
knob in you? Some Dom's knob.
Knob Creek, Dom's Knob Creek.
Who wants some Dom's knob? And we have the episode title.
That was endlessly amusing. And they were, okay, you need to go home. I was like, no, before you've had some in my knob.
Family get-togethers when you have a whiskey involved gets very funny. Very fast.
I never usually go to them, but I thought, fuck, I may as well go to this one.
Yeah, I got the money for the booze to keep me going through this.
I have some booze at the house.
Yeah. Speaking of money, I wanted to get your opinion on another thing that happened recently with the internet. It was actually, this is a story about Boogie2988.
Okay.
I'm
You did
assuming
preface
the
this by,
numbers there.
I know who Boogie2988 is.
Yeah.
Francis lost a ton of weight.
Yeah. Looking not too bad for himself, but it seems like I don't know what it is. I think he's just pissed off Reddit and all the evil is being found. But he has some weird thing about escorts. Apparently
I hope you're talking about Ford escorts.
No.
The car.
No.
All right.
Well, we will get to cars in a minute.
Paid female escorts.
Yeah, which was, I mean, if you're going to do it. I mean, who gives a shit? As long as, nobody's getting hurt.
Yep.
Who gives a shit?
Do your thing, dog.
Just don't get caught, because I don't think it's legal.
No, it's not.
So he apparently just has very abusive relationships with escorts. I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But that's also been dug up from Reddit. Can't verify it, can't really comment on it, but if it's true, holy shit, that's really horrific for somebody that's a very friendly, approachable YouTuber.
Yeah.
He seems a bit two-faced, and based on the fact that his divorce was pretty messy and pretty much based on abusive psychological behaviour.
Yeah.
Not a great look for a guy who's the friendly face of YouTube.
Yeah.
And this one's really weird because he was on a live stream complaining that he was basically upsold on a Tesla. Like, someone showed him a Tesla and he was like, oh, have a go, mate, I'll be fine. Like, he was inducted into the cult of Tesla.
Alright.
And it went and bought $100,000 worth of car that he realised he couldn't pay for as he was driving out of the dealership.
Fuck.
And is now dedicating massive chunks of his stream to, like, saying, guys, I need the money. Like, the shilling is next level. I'll send you the link to the video. It's pretty bad. It's like a 10-minute thing of him being like, I fell for the salesman's thing, but I'm not going to walk it back. I'm not going to try and take it back to the dealership or get the contract cancelled or anything like that, or show any kind of buyer's remorse. I'm just going to make you guys pay for it. And you got to say, as much as,
Okay, first things first.
Okay.
Every contract has a built-in 48-hour cooling off period when you can take the item back.
Mm-hmm.
It's particularly only in consumer contracts. And I'm pretty sure this is global.
Yeah.
Any part of the country, you can take your car back, or take the car back, take the item back, and say, look, I've had a change of thought. I've had a look at my finances. I cannot pay for this.
Yeah.
Secondly, fuck your pride. You can't pay for the car. Take it back.
Yes.
Do not be a dick and bankrupt yourself.
It is $100,000 of car. It's a lot of money. So if you want to say, I can't afford this car, it's quite reasonable. And yeah, you might get laughed at that Prius or the fucking Tesla dealership for being one of the poor people, but at the same time, you will be able to pay for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you'll be able to pay for food and shit.
Yeah. And I was listening, I watched the video and I think to myself, how does someone who's quite, again, sells himself on the idea of being sensible, of being a sensible, relatable person on YouTube, find themselves being upsold on the idea of a car to the point where you're dropping $100,000 you can't afford.
Same thing happened to...
And not by a salesman, by a friend.
By a friend.
Yes.
Okay, first things first.
Friend.
Get rid of the friend. That's a shitty friend. But that also happened to... do you know who Darkside Phil is? The world's worst gamer.
I think I've heard of him, but I'm not familiar with him.
He calls himself the King of Hate. Genuinely the world's worst video gamer. It took him 108 episodes, 20 to 30 minute episodes to beat Metal Gear Solid 3.
Right.
15 of those episodes, I am positive, are him doing one boss fight. I was convinced at one point that this is an act. I've watched all his Just Chatting live streams that have been uploaded to YouTube. Yeah. It's not an act. This guy is just simple. This guy is simple beyond belief. I'm pretty sure he has to get watched at all times. But he bought a similar situation. Boogie. He bought $100,000 car, BMW, that he can't pay for, and every time he's live streaming on Twitch, all he says is, guys, I'm needing donations, next car payment's coming up, I need your help.
Yeah.
How do you back yourself into that kind of corner?
I think it's a weird part of
I get that's a status thing as well, but
with Teslas it's part of being the cult and part of a status symbol, and you're going to stay with the planet, yada yada yada.
Yeah. Do you really need to play Mario Kart on your car though?
I don't think that's the main selling point, but at the same time I think it's part of like an instant gratification issue that we have, where people are just too used to just getting what they want and they'll figure it out later.
Yeah. If
you're gonna make money for YouTube and make money for Twitch and live stream and stuff, that's fine. If you want to ask your people for donations to do stuff, that's fine. But going out and just putting kind of the cart before the horse and saying, well, I bought $100,000 worth of stuff, you guys are gonna pay me for it, is the fucking dumbest thing I've ever heard. How has someone not let that happen to themselves where they think, well, this is acceptable?
Yeah, my fans will help me.
Yeah, they'll dig me out of this.
Yeah.
Like,
See, to
no.
be fair, if someone said that, if I was following someone and they said, look guys, my mortgage needs paid, you guys need to pay me, I would unsubscribe immediately.
Yeah.
I'd be like, fuck you. You don't deserve my, if it's on Twitch, $4.99 a month.
Yeah. I think one of the worst videos that I've ever seen was Colossal's craziest video on the Amazing Atheist, who turned maximum shill every couple months on something new he's working on. And there's some other stuff in that video, like the Amazing Atheist burning his balls with oil.
Burning his balls?
Yes. Apparently that's his kink. And shoving a banana up his ass.
Right.
Which is a weird thing for him to do, but apparently it leaked out on Pornhub. And he's not denying it's him. He's actually okay with it being him and that being footage, but he keeps accidentally releasing footage of him dropping burning oil on himself.
Okay, I don't want to kink shame, but you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah, you're going to, you may need medical attention after your...
Each to your own, but you're going to hurt yourself, dog.
Yeah, but every time he would invest himself in a new project, or need some new equipment, or need something, like, at one point he was just, hey, can you guys just, like, PayPal me some money so I've got money for a date tonight? You're like, dude, like, understand your financial situation before you start shit.
Financial responsibility is something that I just assumed everybody knew. Because from day one, I've always been told, don't live outside your means.
Yeah.
Just sort your own shit out.
Avoid debt, work within your means. If you can build credit.
Yeah. But it's the fact, I've always been raised to never ask for anything, never go up to people with their hands open. That's why I don't go and trick or treat.
Yeah.
Because mum and dad always seen it as just begging. And I agree with them.
Yeah.
Just going, oh, please give me some sweeties. No, if that was me, I'd slam the door on you. It just, it's always seemed strange to me, the current state of sort of YouTubers and stuff who just ask for handouts. Surely you got yourself into this mess, you're getting paid by someone.
Yeah. There's
usually some kind of company out there that's backing you.
Yeah. As much as you're a creative, you should also be looking at the reality of it. If you're being a creative for a business, you're still a business.
Oh yeah.
Like, you still have, if you want to put out a Patreon and establish a kind of source of revenue that way, because right now YouTube is going back through adpocalypse territory again for the like 5th time in 2 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're, if you
that's
want to,
the Phil DeFranco, Lacey Green thing. They all got linked to alt-right.
Yeah, that what was it? It was New York Times. Actually read that piece, and it's actually, I don't think have we talked about that one?
I don't think we
before?
have.
Definitely talk about that one in a minute. But they've they're going through another apocalypse. So if you want to establish a Patreon or whatever to like set up with the goals, the like expressed intent of, you guys provide me with this, I'll provide you with extra content or extra goodies or whatever, that I'm totally cool with. I understand that, and that is a business model. But putting the cart before the horse is where it really gets me. Like, you need to understand you're running a business, and if you have no business plan on your passion project YouTube channel, should it be a business? Should you be behaving like it's an ad revenue income? Like, think about things a bit more is the issue we've got there.
But I think most of it is people saying, I can make money on this YouTube thing, and not coming with hitting it out with a proper business plan. Yeah. Just thinking, I'm going to make videos on YouTube and I'm going to get money for it. It's like the people who think, I'm going to be an actor. Why? Because it's easy. I'm going to get millions of dollars. Like, nah, you put in a bit of legwork before you get to that stage.
Acting is not easy.
Yeah. You're going to be waiting tables for a long fucking time. You're going to be paying your dues and building your armour for a bit.
That's what I really like. There's a YouTuber and Twitch streamer called Harris Heller. He is a Alpha Gaming channel. He is very good at explaining in a very pragmatic way the business end of running a Twitch channel, and that's his YouTube channel. And his Twitch channel is based on the idea of, I would like to help you become a better Twitch personality and a better Twitch business, because I've been creating social media content for the last, say, I think it was 7 years or something he's up to now, because he started on Vine. He apparently was doing documentaries for political campaigns before that. Like, he's been through the ringer, traditional media and modern, like, kind of social media style, and he is a very wise person in a way. He's not that he's smart, he's wise. He's been through the ringer.
He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's done his time. He's bringing you the information and saying, this is what you do focus on, this is what you don't pay attention to. For example, fancy mics for Twitch broadcasts. Yeah. You don't need a $2,000 mic for a Twitch broadcast.
I was talking to someone recently. They said, I'm going to start a Twitch channel. I was like, oh cool, what's your setup going to be? And I went, I found the microphones that Joe Rogan uses for his podcast. And I went, first and foremost, Joe Rogan's loaded. Yeah. He has UFC money, he has podcast money because all of them are fucking advertised. Yeah. He can afford those ridiculously good condenser mics.
It's like a $700 mic.
Yeah, you can afford them. Go low end.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he's doing with the channel. But
go low end, learn how to process it. Like these mics we've got are pretty decent. They're a bit more expensive than I'd recommend for a startup YouTube or Twitch personality. But at the same time, know how to work with lesser equipment so that when you get the good equipment, you become godlike.
Yeah, work with what you've got is what I would say. Don't go for the big microphones expecting they're going to make everything better.
Like James is a big fan of the I think it's the Go XLR that he's got. It's the mixer that he uses with his streams. Now it works for him because it fulfills multiple different functions.
Although he just went and got a whole slew of new Elgato stuff.
Yeah,
but that was his subscribers that paid for that, and his thing is always because he's a techie. Argic is a techie. That's what he does for a living. He works in tech. His thing is always about looking good, sounding good.
Yeah.
So he was wanting to sink some money into that and getting the lighting and the rigs and stuff.
But before he did that,
microphone.
He spent time working with lesser equipment because it's what he could afford. He was living within his means.
If I wanted to start a YouTube channel, I suppose I'd be kind of in good stead because my dad was a DJ.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't really need to go and hunt for microphones. I could just say, Dad, I'm going to start this. What microphone would be good?
Yeah.
It would be a cheaper mic, but it would still do the job.
Yeah.
And sound management's a big thing about it because you have the best quality setup ever.
Yeah.
But if you're sounding like shit,
it's
going to damage you ultimately.
Like the prime example would be the Blue Yeti mic. The Blue Yeti mic is a phenomenal piece of kit, but if you don't know how to use it right, you fuck up.
Yeah.
See, for example, Gibberpish Season 0.
Oh yeah.
Like, it doesn't sound as good as what it does now because we've learned with old equipment how to work with that equipment, and now we have better equipment, and now when we use that, we sound a lot better. It's improvement. It's gradual, it takes time, and it's an investment in your ideas that pays off in the end. And I just think that people rush through and jump into this, like, I'll buy the best gear and I'll become the best. No, there's a stage behind it, and then when it falls to your fans to pick up the slack and pay for the cash that you didn't have but you spent anyway, you're kind of a shitty person in my eyes.
It relates to the point of instant gratification that you hit on earlier. People are not willing to put in the legwork. It's people. I kind of liken it to people who want to lose weight and just take the pills and the juice pluses and the steroids and stuff. Sure, you're going to lose weight, but you're going to feel like crap.
Yeah.
Do the legwork. Hit the gym, go out cycling, go out for a fucking walk. The easiest thing you could do is just get off your arse and go for a walk.
Work with a trainer to teach you the right way to do things, and then when you're comfortable with that and you're starting to make progress, head out on your own. Yeah. Do your own thing. There's a guy at the gym who is very heavily overweight, and I see him every week. He's in there doing deadlifts with a coach training him, so make sure he's got the right technique. And I've seen him change a little bit. He's only been in there a couple of weeks now, but he is losing a little bit of weight, and he's getting better at his deadlifts. He's lifting a little bit more. He's making progress. He's doing more lifts as well. It's a big thing as well. I never really appreciated how much effort it would be to deadlift as someone who is morbidly obese.
Yeah.
Like, how much effort does it take to move your body to do that, and then how does that feel? Because if you're morbidly obese, guarantee there's something else going on as well.
Yeah.
There'll be something else, some side issue that you would never really appreciate until you try to lift your weights up, and then your head, like, all the blood drains out your brain, and you go, oh god, and you get lightheaded and fall over.
Yeah.
So he's investing in his time, and it'll pay off in the long run.
Yeah. And I think that translates effortlessly to the trying to get a career in media.
Yeah.
You can't just instantly jump into starring in the next Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
You work at it. You start slow and you build your way up. You're never going to go from radio talent to voicing the next fucking big AAA title from Ubisoft or Activision or something.
Yeah.
You need to work your way up.
You'd have to be a very raw talent.
Yeah, you'd have to be a Troy Baker or a Nolan North or a fucking
Kevin Michael Richardson
or a Jim Cummings. I could sit and rhyme off voice actors all day. You need to tell me to stop.
I was just thinking about this because I think we talked about this last time, was like Nolan North joking that the only way you can get in the voice acting industry is just wait for him to die.
Yeah.
Kevin Michael Richardson has appeared in 2 places I didn't see him coming, and one was Love, Death and Robots, which is on Netflix. Fantastic anthology series. 10 out of 10 would recommend. He appears in one of the episodes, and you will know when it's him.
Yeah, because very recognisable voice.
But he appeared as well in Crash Team Racing, Nitro Edition, like the remaster of it. Yeah. I bought it, and he appeared as a chicken, and I was like, yeah, Kevin Michael Richardson as a chicken. Yeah, what's that? Nice. But it's just happy to see him, and I'm really glad he's still out there because he's one of those voice actors that's consistently amazing throughout the years.
ridiculously good because he's done big budget stuff like Family Guy and stuff, but he still turns out for kids TV and stuff like that. Is the prime example of doing your legwork.
Yeah, do your legwork, get a job, keep the job by doing the job more.
And he still does live action appearances because he's in an episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Really?
Yeah, he picks up Robin at a bar.
I'm gonna go back and watch that. I've not seen that in ages.
Don't watch How I Met Your Mother again. Ted, what's his last name?
Ted Mosby.
Ted Mosby is a serial killer.
Yeah, we talked about that in the past. Where I was like, when you think about it, he is really creepy.
Yeah, he's hiding some bodies.
Yeah. Oh, we went to talk about the New York Post thing about YouTube alt-right thing.
Because I remember reading about this, but you spoke to me about it, and I thought, right, this could be a good talk point in the podcast. Because as far as I was aware, it identified certain people as being alt-right, then that bled into YouTube, and then YouTube started fucking running with this. The YouTube algorithm just... Yeah.
Well, the idea is that, well, first of all, there was that thing that originally really pissed off Joe Rogan about the kind of alt-right dark web thing. Yeah. Where it was a conversation about how one person is associated with another, is associated with another. So you can basically have like lines drawn between people who have contact with each other by appearing on each other's shows, and you can link somebody who's very kind of casual, like Joe Rogan, and then link them to like some of the worst people on the internet. Like real alt-right, white nationalist, racist, homophobic people, like real horrible people.
Isn't that ultimately a strawman argument? Because if I say,
what it was shoddy research.
Yeah, but there's one thing that I've found out about recently, and I've started to see it being used everywhere, even with people that I talk to regularly. The idea of the strawman argument is I could say, you're drinking out of a Copperberg glass. Yeah. You like Copperberg. You like cider. And I could mention some horrific fact about the growing of the fruits for cider, and the horrific fact about the conditions for the farmers that harvest the fruits. I could say you support that because you like Copperberg cider. Well, the two things are completely unrelated. All you've said is you like Copperberg cider.
The actual, or the supposed definition of a strawman argument is that you take cherry pick pieces out of someone's argument to make up a fake argument they would in theory make, like I drink out of Copperberg glass, therefore I support something along the lines of horrific working conditions of the farmers, but you would attack the position of the strong man and make me look bad. Yeah. And then that's where it becomes a strongman, is that you attack the fake argument that you've made up on my behalf.
You go on the assumption of, like Copperberg, ergo, he must support
horrific working conditions in Africa for people who just like farm apples or whatever.
Yeah, and it's something that I've seen used more and more nowadays.
Oh, it's so obvious as well.
And again, I was talking to a good friend who really needs to learn to shut his mouth every so often, because it's literally just like a tin that he opens up and says, we're going to talk about politics and I'm just going to accuse you of wrong shit. We were talking about clothing brands. Yeah. Because another friend of mine, he's been on this real self-improvement kick. Yeah. I've been really proud of the physical improvement. Yeah. But it's just I just want to dress better, I want to smell better. Douchey as fuck.
I want to smell better.
I broke it down.
Shower bitch.
I broke it down horrifically for him. I went, I asked him, I said, why do you want to look better? Why do you want to just act better? I just want to be a better man. And I went, do you want to know what the reason is? You're talking bullshit. You just want to get your hole. That is it. He's like, oh man, no, I'm just trying to be a better man. Bullshit. You are trying to get your hole. Don't sprinkle. Don't put chocolate sprinkles on a turd and tell me it's chocolate ice cream with sprinkles.
Well, look, when the ladies ask, you can say, well, just want to be a better man.
Just want to improve myself.
When the guys come around,
when you're talking to the bros,
you admit your shit, alright? You admit what's going on. It's cool. Yeah. We would all do it. Yeah,
I get it.
That's what I'm doing too.
Dude, why do you think I've actually started putting wax and shit in my hair to make myself look better? But the conversation continued on because I've started liking certain brands of clothes. And okay, what do you prefer? And I've started looking towards, G-Star, Quicksilver, Vans and stuff like that, because they're, form fitting and it shows off your muscle and stuff. I was like, oh, cool. Then my other friend piped up and just went, oh, brands are fucking, I hate brand clothes, I fucking hate them all. And I was like, okay, why do you hate them? He went, oh, because the working conditions of the people in the factories. And I went, okay, so I like brand clothes. And he went, oh, you support horrible working conditions. I went, no, I like the clothes. That's it.
I'd pay more for the clothes if it meant better working conditions.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Yeah, and he went, oh, so you're all happy with people working for minimum wage to make these horrible jumpers? And I went, you're wearing 3 super dry items right now, and you're trying to say to me that I support horrible working conditions?
There's some hypocrisy going on there right now.
There's some major hypocrisy. I didn't buy it. I went, so your mother supports it then, because your mother bought you those for Christmas, didn't she? No one in my family supports brands. Yeah. They clearly do.
That's someone who's just out there picking arguments, picking fights.
Yeah, but he also tried to pick a fight with me because I said I hate fizzy lemonade. And I do. I fucking hate fizzy lemonade because I picked up a bottle of still lemonade, which is essentially just lemon juice, which is delicious.
It sounds like that guy is doing steroids but not working out and therefore has a ton of energy.
He's tiny.
I know, but he's doing steroids but not working out, so he just has all the energy and all the pent up rage.
My theory is that his girlfriend, his fiance now, very happy that he's got his fiance. His fiance is the nicest human being in the planet.
Yeah,
you cannot start an argument with her. You'll say to me,
I know where this is going.
You'll like this, and she'll just go, okay, as long as you're happy.
Yeah,
and I can just imagine her
like
fiance just going, the eye popping it, going, but I want to argue. I want to argue. And she's just going, okay, I'm gonna go make dinner, and she just drops away and little flowers prop up when she's walking away because he's a fucking human rainbow. Yeah, but yeah, he's not getting it enough. He's just trying to pick fights with other people.
He's not getting the argument he wants at home. He wants a little bit of conflict.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, anyway, that fucker uses straw man arguments all the time, and it fucking bugs me. And there's more and more of it popping up nowadays, and it just pisses me off.
And the New York Times article.
New York Times, yeah. Tangents.
That was tangential to like the nth degree. You tangented on a tangent. You tangent squared.
Yeah, I broke the fourth tangent.
The original piece that came out that caused a bit of issue was the line graph between different people who were all connected, and in this one took it to the next stage by interviewing a guy who I actually quite like. This guy's called Faraday Speaks. He's a YouTube channel who the guy was way into red pill territory, talking about ideas for white ethnic states and ideas for protecting like the motherland of America, which isn't a thing.
Okay,
it's an immigrant nation. That's what they do. It's the foundation, the core belief. You're rewriting history there, buddy.
Yeah, this red, white, and blue American state that was discovered by an Italian.
Yeah, an Italian working for the Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're clearly not red, white, and blue American, are you?
Yeah. He's made some pretty good videos about how he's been working his way back to normality, but then has basically started going further and further left as well, but more to do with social justice causes like social equity and stuff. It's a good video. It's very emotional. It's him realizing the effect that certain philosophies have had on his life, and how because he's become so ingrained and engulfed in the culture in a way, it's damaged his life. And okay, that's horrific, but it's a reason. It's a human story of like the current political times. He was interviewed by the New York Times, who went into his history, and the one thing that really stands out to me was the admission he doesn't make in his YouTube video, but the one that he was talking about in the article was that he used to visit 4chan when he was a teenager. Like the dark part of like the dark heart at the whole, in the middle of the hellhole.
The dark heart of the vortex.
Yes, and he never really mentioned that in his YouTube video, which is very sympathetic and actually got me to follow him. But he was basically saying that when he was doing it as a laugh as a kid, when he was 14 or 15 or whatever, he never really recognised what he was actually looking at. And then he actually started to just accept these things as truths. And then he ran into more and more instances of like conflict with people that were close to him because they were very socially forward, very progressive thinking or whatever.
Yeah.
And he is then described like going further and further down different rabbit holes about white nationalism and ideas of protecting the white Aryan race or whatever, and the idea that certain things are in place because it helps black people and takes down black people, and he would work trying to dismantle systems like that. And basically everyone, he was kind of a piece of shit as a kid. But the idea that all this happened because he was watching YouTube videos, I'm like, no, that kid was exposed to that way before YouTube. But the article itself is to do with YouTube's algorithm gradually pointing people towards right-leaning sources, when you can say, no, if you watch enough left-leaning sources, you lean way into the left. You can get both results. It just depends on what you're looking at. It's just an algorithm, a computer code, will not make judgment calls for you. You have to police your own watch time. You have to make sure you're watching, what will inevitably make you a better person, whether you lean one way or the other politically. And that you should maybe have the self-judgment to stay away from Nazi content. I'm sorry, you're going to have to make that call yourself.
Yeah. There's no argument that could stand up when you say, I just clicked on this, horrible, atrocious video.
Yeah.
No one forced you to click on it. You chose that.
Yeah.
There's no argument that's going to stand up to your own choice.
The idea was basically that...
Can't blame society for making you watch Nazi videos.
I think it was the idea that YouTube was basically slow boiling a frog. The idea that you would start in a very kind of central position, which is how we actually learned about the story, was because it was related to Philip DeFranco, who is a very centrist maybe slightly left-leaning news source, because I think it's just who he is.
Yeah.
I think he just has slightly same thing. Like the old Chris Rock joke. I've got some shit I'm liberal about, some shit I'm conservative about. Prostitution, I'm liberal. Guns, conservative.
Yeah.
People are have their own leanings, and I think the idea is that if you started from a centralist point and you started working gradually one way, you would never really notice that you're slowly boiling the frog, you're slowly raising the temperature up. Whereas if you were to throw like Nazi content at a person, you would inevitably have that person go, oh my god, what the fuck am I watching? And they would immediately shut it down and stop watching it, because they've been thrown in the deep end, thrown in a boiling pot, and would hop back out again. But the idea that YouTube's algorithm was gradually responsible for turning this all-American good old boy or good little kid into a fervent white nationalist is wrong. I'm like, first of all, that guy, before he talks about anything to do with YouTube, admits to being on 4chan. Kid's not a fucking liar, but he's admitting he's omitting a massive fact from the case. And the article itself is very kind of disingenuous, and it's very kind of like, oh, look how he's gonna save the day by being ultra liberal, and he's gonna speak out about this. I'm like, yes, speak out about the translation from like the gradual decline into an alt-right state, but I think you're omitting a very key fact, because I do think someday, at least there must be one person out there who started just watching one video and gradually shifted over time towards the right.
Yeah, it's ultimately kind of comes back to the whole, since all the content is free, you can't really, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. If you can't, there's that sort of trickle down effect where you just think, how bad could one video be?
Yeah.
You watch one video that's maybe about, it's not too heavy on the subject, but there's enough there to get you interested and think, I'm going to keep reading about this.
And if you're an intellectual, you will poke and prod at the fringes of what you're willing to accept. Yeah,
and that has a snowball effect where people are going to keep looking for that. So, well, I know about this, but this guy mentioned this subject, but didn't really go in depth. So I'm going to keep looking and looking and looking.
Yeah.
And when you're in that kind of bubble, that YouTube vortex of just watching all these kind of videos, you start to form opinions that you're not really going to discuss with other people until they have, or unless they have a similar point or a similar way of thinking, and you just start building up this idea of, oh, they're right, I get that, I sympathize, I agree with that, and it can shift people's perspective.
You can end up down a wormhole, and you can end up with this positive reinforcement feedback.
Yeah,
but I don't think, I don't know if it's the responsibility of YouTube to police that.
No,
and I think you need to be a lot more honest with yourself about who you are.
Yeah, I think that leads into kind of what I was saying. YouTube can't say, are you sure you want to watch this video about white supremacy? They're just going to say, no, you're watching content on our platform.
Yeah,
they're happy for the engagement. There's no person at YouTube that's monitoring however many billions of people are on YouTube.
Yeah,
it's physically impossible.
Yeah,
you literally need to look at yourself and think, am I going to get anything positive from a video about Nazis? Am I going to get anything positive about a video concerning extremist tendencies in the alt-right? No. Like, you need to self-police this yourself.
Yeah, I think people are just shifting responsibility away from themselves to a corporation that they just want to see, they want to see people get money out of this.
It's an easy target as well, because YouTube have been getting their name dragged through the mud with the adpocalypse and people not being able to monetize their videos, and people using their platforms for their own personal gains, for using that particularly touchy subjects as their main focal points of their channels. To say that it's YouTube's fault is completely wrong. To say that it's your fault is correct, because no one's forcing you to watch.
No one forces you to log in every day. Videos. Yeah. No one forces you to log in every day. Nobody forces you to consume that content. You should be more honest. And if you're having thoughts and ideas, and you're discussing them with someone, and somebody vehemently reacts to them, like absolutely rejects your idea and gets very upset at you for having that idea, maybe you should stop, reflecting, and consider what you're proposing. Yeah, and think about it from someone else's perspective. Practice a little bit of empathy as opposed to just blaming, the evil corporation. Like, the man's making me do this. You can argue that, is it responsible for YouTube to have an algorithm that could lead someone down this way, and therefore they make a profit off of it? Yeah. There's an interesting discussion. But is it their fault that you became that person? No. Nah.
It's like this whole discussion on the H3H3 channel with Ethan Klein talking about he put up a post about some Instagram model, and it was Instagram versus reality, and it was her looking all airbrushed and
that one's
acceptable. Then there's the reality one, where it's her looking like teared face and she's looking horrible.
Yeah,
like I suppose horrible is a bit. She's not looking her best.
She doesn't look the way she does in the Instagram
She doesn't
post.
look all glamorous and airbrushed. And then she jumped on and saying, "Oh, this is what people on YouTube do. They're causing suicide in young people." No, they're just. He posted a comment. How you chose to react to that comment is that way.
Yeah,
you can't blame one channel for pointing out something that's completely and utterly factual. That the reality that people put on Instagram is totally different from reality itself.
Yeah,
you can't blame them for teenage suicides. There's nothing. I mean, fair enough. People nowadays, because of the advent of social media, are more. They're more open to that kind of criticism, and how they react to that is their own thing. But you can't then blame these corporations for making that decision, or not making that decision, for pointing that out.
Yeah, you can't hold. I mean,
and ultimately, her whole thing was about she was just pissed off that someone pointed out that she didn't look her best all the time.
Yeah,
and she said she lost so many people on Patreon because of it. It was a joke. People need to develop thicker skin. Yeah. I think is what it is.
And you could maybe argue that by making that behaviour funny and acceptable in the HD audience, that he might have inspired someone else to do that to someone else.
Yeah.
But again...
Bullshit. Fucking... There we go.
But you can argue that maybe he by doing that within his audience, he might have inspired someone in that audience to do the same thing that someone else, and then that would cause a bit of hurt to someone, that would maybe lead them to the road of suicide. But to hold that, to hold Ethan personally responsible for that person's hypothetical death wouldn't really hold much water.
Yeah, that's her whole argument was just strange, because she said, he's causing suicide in teenagers, but there was no deaths linked to it, and there was no deaths related on Instagram.
If it's the person I'm thinking about, first of all, that person is not very bright.
Yeah, she's pretty dumb.
I'm pretty sure I'm 99% sure the person I'm talking about is the same person who made a YouTube video covering herself in 100 layers of fake cum. So, I'm not going to lie, I don't trust that person as being the sole arbiter of what happens and what's the best for children's mental health. Yeah, but even though there is a very serious issue of the rise of social media and self-harm.
I just can use that as an example of you can't blame someone else for pointing something out.
Yeah.
But it's ultimately how you viewed that. You chose to engage. You chose to make that post. Yeah. Like, they've reacted to it a certain way.
Yeah, and the fact that they do so by exposing the reality of the situation, and then it hurts your bottom line, makes me seriously consider: are you genuinely in this for the children's mental health, or are you trying to drum up controversy, get more attention, and maybe gain back some of those Patreon subscribers you lost?
And ultimately, that's why I hate social media. That's why I don't engage with Facebook. I barely use Twitter and Instagram. Fucking barely use. Every so often I'll say, "Oh, that's a cool phone background. I'm going to take that."
Yeah.
But ultimately, I fucking hate using social media.
I'm pretty tempted actually, right now, to get rid of my Instagram, and then just use Twitter, because I enjoy Twitter. I do find it very fun. Yeah. I enjoy having the conversations in there. I have a community of people that I like to follow and whose opinions I like to read. Yeah. And
I think for me, it's mainly Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook is just. It's shitty. If I could get rid of it,
it's a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it's just that people are watching. It's the Springfield tire fire.
Yeah,
it's just been burning for so long, and no one knows why it started.
Yeah, what to do is make sure you've got the number of everyone you regularly talk to on that. Do what I did: is get the number of anyone you need to contact.
Yeah,
get an alternative way of contacting them, and then just remove the app from your phone.
I think what I might do is I might get rid of Facebook and keep Messenger, because you can do that.
Yeah, just keep it off for a week. And delete the app from your phone for a week, and then realise you don't miss it.
Yeah.
That's what happens to everyone who does that type of thing. Goes, it was weird when I first started, but then a week later, I just didn't care that it wasn't there anymore.
Yeah. I think, because I know people that have done that. My sister-in-law, she didn't use it. She lost her phone for a week because children are a thing. Her daughter was just, okay, phone's out of battery, and dropped the thing. The whole thing just spiderwebbed. So she had to send it away to get it fixed, and she dropped it right on concrete, so it jostled around and broke some things. So she lost her phone for a week, and she got it back, and she's seen all the apps and all the social media stuff, and she's thought, I don't use half of these anymore. And I'm pretty sure to this point, even if she said, if anybody needs to get in touch with me, just text me or phone me. I'm not on Messenger anymore. And she was on that shit constantly. Yeah. I would get every so often there'll be posts on Facebook just saying she said, or sister-in-law says this, sister-in-law says that. I think that might be the next step for me, because I am fucking pig sick of all the anti-SNP stuff, anti-independence, anti-union, just all the vitriol from both sides.
Is just terrific.
I want to start reading more into politics, because it is something that particularly people of our age need to get involved in, because I've taken such a dismissive view of politics nowadays that I'm just so disconnected from it. But it is very important to be cognizant of. I think I need to go back in it, but Facebook is kind of, you see it and you think, oh, I know that guy, I trust him, and he's posting that, maybe he's got a point, and then you'll see arguments on the other side. So I think personally for me, it might be time to hit the pause button on social media. Maybe just use Spotify specifically. Yeah,
I'd say I'd have nothing so complex. I wish I had such a complex reasoning for leaving Instagram. All I'm doing is staring at tits. That's all. My main issue.
That's why I don't want to get rid of Instagram.
Yeah,
I just started following Alana Pierce.
That was the reason I left Facebook, was the same as you. I'm just tired of seeing the same shit every week. But I kept Instagram because a lot of good looking women in there. I enjoy seeing their content. It's fun, and at the same time, I'm looking now like, do I really enjoy their content, or am I just staring at them half naked?
Yeah.
And I realize that I'm overly engaged in the sexual aspect of Instagram.
You're letting the caveman brain, the primal brain kick in. And I realised, actually thinking about it, just as you've said that, most of the people that I follow on Instagram are sort of cosplayers and stuff. Yeah,
the ratio of like people who I actually follow that are friends, as opposed to people who I follow that are like just models or cosplay models or fetish models, is ridiculous. It's like, I don't need to see all of this every day when I wake up in the morning. That's not a healthy way of looking at it.
If you can't go a full day without seeing seeing somebody in a cosplay, I think there's more going on than just that kind of behaviour.
If I described it to a stranger and our psychologist said, what do you think is the issue with this person who can't stop looking at the phone because every now and again they like to see titties, and you're probably looking at some kind of mild
sex
addiction case that someone would refer to, and you realise,
here's what they do: they put one of those long lobotomy needles on with a hammer at the end, and just put a hammer at the side, going, right, here's the treatment.
We're just gonna chisel this into your dick.
We're just gonna find that little lobe of your brain, and we're gonna get rid of that. Go olden school on this. Jesus Christ,
it's so old to use olden.
We are in the olden school.
We are the olden times.
1 degree older than old school.
I think it might be a healthy idea to just remove that and then go back and reevaluate what I want to actually look at, and what the caveman brain part of me wants to look at. I think might be a good idea.
Yeah, just detox. I think that's something. I think it's something more people should look at, because social media is a bad thing.
Yes,
it's connected people, but it's also opened up other avenues of bullying and unwanted avenues of contact. I think just having a purge for a week, if you're really if you're not really too addicted to social media, 5 days. But if you're heavily involved with a lot of social media, take a month off. Just purge yourself from all that shit. Yeah. Go for a goddamn walk, see some goddamn green.
Yeah, we've put numbers next to social success.
Yeah,
and we kind of have we inevitably create a game out of it, because that's what we do.
Yeah,
I just think recently I've had.
By the way, this sounds like we're about to end the podcast for good.
Yeah, no, this isn't social media. This is this is us locking ourselves in a room for 2 hours to wax philosophical about whatever the fuck.
Because it genuinely sounded like, and that's why this is the last episode of the Gibberpish Podcast. No,
except for weird abstract art that will be left across the globe for you to find.
Yeah.
No, the
an ARG to.
I've had some good interactions with people, mostly just to do with like catching up with old friends, but the sincere, like the deeply held friends that I've made through work, and just watching like the change in how I deal with those people as opposed to how I would deal with people that I knew on Facebook is like night and day. The message, like the conversations we have, the messages we leave each other. Like I left rambling rants to people, like just these long like catch up messages, like letters. Like if you, I would,
essays.
It's the effort I would put into writing someone a physical letter.
Yeah, and
it felt really good to do that, to have that actual conversation with people that I just maybe missed contact with.
Yeah,
but it's nothing like that's actual social activity.
Yeah,
not liking someone's Facebook post. That's not social activity.
I think the healthy way to do it is send messages. Just say, because recently a friend of mine has one of his family members passed away, and I thought, I could just leave my shitty little comment on his wall saying, dude, thinking about you. But no, I actually wrote a full fucking essay just saying, I know how hard it is to lose a loved one, because I lost all my grandparents within the space of 2 years. I think between the years of 11 and 13, all 4 of my grandparents got wiped off the board, so I know how fucking heavy that could be. And it was the guy's granddad that passed away, and I just thought I could leave just a shitty, dude, here for you, get in touch if you want to go for a drink and shoot the shit. And I thought, no, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to fucking leave my full message, updated phone number if he wants to get in touch. And he did send me a message back saying, I appreciate it, like that. Because I did say you're probably pig sick of all the messages and stuff, and he actually didn't get many proper messages.
Yeah,
it was mainly the Facebook
thinking of you, or the crying
thoughts
emoji
and
reaction,
thoughts and prayers. Fuck off.
Because people appreciate the effort.
Yeah, that's why I don't say happy birthday to anybody on Facebook. Because I fucking hate the whole happy birthday, hope it's a good one. No, I'd rather see you face to face.
Yeah.
Or if I don't see you face to face regularly, that's why I've not said happy birthday to you. Yeah. Because I've probably met you through a house party and you've added me on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
That's why apparently I just realised how kind of high and mighty this sounds, but apparently I don't rate you high enough to wish you happy birthday. But be gone, plebe.
But no, I
hate the fact that it's taken the important message out of saying happy birthday to someone and just replaced it with a couple lines of text through Facebook.
Well, that was one of the things that got me about it before I left the platform was I had a birthday, and then a year later I got all the birthday messages. Next year, got all the birthday messages, and realised that 90% of the people who left me those messages hadn't spoken a word to me since then.
Oh yeah,
that's the fucking point.
That definitely got me, because someone for my 25th birthday, 3 years ago now, said me, "You're older than I am."
By like 5 months.
Yeah, that's true.
Calm down.
No, but it did definitely. I had the similar reaction. Someone said, "Oh, happy birthday, man! We should get a catch up soon." And I ended up deleting this person, and I sent my message back just saying, "Who the fuck are you? I genuinely can't remember who you are, and why are you saying we need to have a catch up soon? Like, who are you?" Genuinely confused me. I've never spoken to you, and you've never said word one to me before. Yeah, you're clearly just saying happy birthday because so many other people have you. Yeah, it just bugs me. It creates this false pretense of, oh, we're best friends. We talk all the time on Facebook. Yeah, like just because I think we need to draw a distinction between real friends, like ourselves. Because I've fucking known you since we were about 5. Yeah, we used to go to church and shit together. Real friends.
It's all Jesus involved.
Yeah, that's so Jesus involved, and people that you see on a regular basis, real friends. Yeah, and Facebook friends, because Facebook friends aren't real friends. They just show up and like shit every so often. Yeah, and update you on their travel photos and occasionally show bikini shots. Well,
I would just say learn a difference between a friendship and a social media relationship. Yeah. There's a complete world of difference, and the quality of life that improves when you recognise the difference and actively pursue friendships as opposed to social media relationships is a complete game changer.
I also think it's very freeing when you realise that social media is just void. It is nothing. It means nothing. When you kind of break away from this thing, if I have 150 likes on that photo that I posted on Facebook of me with my new dog, that somehow gives me validation. When you break away from that and you don't care about it, it is ultimately so fucking freeing. Yeah. Because, I mean, I've had my dog Spud, I've had him for 11 years now, and every so often I'll just post pictures because he's a moron. He'll do dumb shit and I'll go, look at this idiot done. Yeah. And I think the last time I posted a picture I seen it got a few likes on it. I just thought, no one is liking that picture because, oh, Dom posted that, that's a cool picture. They're just liking it for the cute dog. That is not me. Then at that point I realised, I'm kind of done posting pictures on Facebook. Yeah. I'm done posting pictures on Instagram. Yeah. It creates this, false perception of what people who like you do. It's just all people who like me like my posts on Facebook. They give me thumbs ups and smiley faces. Like, no. Yeah. Get away from it all. Detox from Facebook. Yeah. Put all your money in golden potatoes. The way of the future.
There's something about social media that is, you realise that it's just
poison.
It's millions of people screaming into the void to avoid reflecting on themselves, and it's refreshing once you realise. Oh, okay.
Just go the full Matrix and unplug.
Yeah, unplug from the Matrix.
Yeah, read a book. Yeah, play some video games.
Have fun. Yeah, genuine fun.
Go out and run. Yeah. People have forgotten how much fun running is.
Yeah, well, unless you're living in Lithgow, in which case there's like hundreds of people just dicking around every day. Although people there can't actually like coordinate their paths and learn how to move within a group, and they just run randomly throughout the streets, and you think to yourself, my God, please, for fuck's sake, actually pick a path and stick to it.
Oh, speaking of people running in Linlithgow, the Superman exists and he lives in Linlithgow somewhere.
Right.
Someone sprinted up the full of Cockleroy. That hill, for those that don't know, it is one of the best things about Linlithgow is there's just sort of National Trust parks damn near everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's a massive hill with a big sort of plinth thing at the top called Cockleroy.
Yeah.
If you look on the sign, it's spelled Cockleroy. So
yeah.
It's a really nice place to go, especially when it's a nice summer's day. You can see for fucking miles out there. Me and a bunch of my friends went up there recently because one of the guys I hang about with, he has gained about 6 stone since he got married.
Right.
And really just wants to lose some weight. So he went, right, guys just want to go for a walk.
Yeah.
So we went hill walking up Cockleroy, and we got to the base and we said, right, let's get walking. Some guy we just heard running footsteps, and he just said, watch your back, lads. And he bolted right up us and did not stop until he got to the top.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there going, that guy's lungs must be on fire. He went down and did it again. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. The Superman exists and he's somewhere in Linlithgow.
There's a lot of hardcore runners out there in Linlithgow, and the fact that there is a local 10k every year probably doesn't help. And there's the number of times you see Edinburgh Marathon like finisher jerseys,
or the EMFs, Under Armour shirts.
Yeah, see those in the gym all the time, and I think it's ingrained in the community there. And I think it would be it wouldn't surprise me that happens. But although for like Cockleroy the Hill, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
you could.
It's quite
doable.
steep. It's doable, but it's very steep.
It's doable as a sprint, like as a targeted sprint. Like I am going to do this.
Yeah,
I'll park my car, walk up, and I'll just do some hill sprints with Cockleroy.
One thing I have seen more of, is particularly in the Linlithgow gym, is people wearing the Linlithgow pub mile t-shirts.
Yeah,
like the what they call it, pub crawl t-shirts.
What's it called again? I remember what it's called because everyone has one, and I think I had the card for one in my wallet to get one done, but I've never actually gone around and done all 7 pubs. Just can't be bothered.
Yeah,
don't go outside to drink.
No.
Somebody talked about that at work. Thought, I've gone out for a drink. I used to love going out for a drink, and now I'm getting older. I think I'm going to just calm down and just not bother. And I'm like, I've never had fun going out drinking. When do you people have fun? What's this fun that you talk about with the outside and the people?
Looking back, I don't think I've ever had a fun experience about going out and drinking, except that one time where we ended up in Linlithgow at some randomer's house party that just ended badly, but that was a story in of itself.
Yeah.
If I ever did stand up, the story about how we ended up, because it was one of those nights where just no one planned anything. Someone phoned, the night spiraled on from there. If I ever did stand up, that'd be the story.
It's your version of The Hangover, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Except there's an angry Asian lady involved. So yeah, if I ever did stand up, that'd be the story I was telling. But I've never had a good story that's come out of drinking. I've always had good stories when it's been grab some beers, go around to a friend's house, or grab some beers, get some food, hang out at someone's house. But I do like the idea of going to a pub and just having a couple of beers.
Yeah,
it's something I want to do more of.
Yeah,
but it's something because a lot of people that I know are busy as fuck now, and I know come September I'm going to be busy as fuck again as well. But I always want, this year specifically, I want to kind of take more time out to just go and sit in a pub, catch up with people, because there's people that have only started getting back in touch with me now that are, because they're back in the area, I've started saying we meet up, go for a pint. Absolutely, we should do that.
Yeah,
I want to kind of make sure that happens a bit more. Yeah.
So after a quick break, it's time for a hard segue away from just social media woes in general.
We were kind of heavy and philosophical there.
Yeah,
and I apologise.
A bit wanky, not unlike Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah, you started watching it.
I did say I was going to make it all the way through. I just haven't had the time. I've been off most of the week. I just haven't committed to actually watching the show. But halfway through, episode 14, finished that last night, and I've got to say it's good. It's really good. I mean, there's some complaining about the redub and the fact it's been re-subtitled as well by Netflix, and I gotta say, I don't really know what people are complaining about because I've never seen the original, so its classic status is kind of not lost on me, but I don't see it as being relevant to the conversation. But it's I can see why people are digging through it and really picking it apart, and have been for like 20 years at this point. And it's of a time. It certainly has an age to it, and it's interesting to see where so many things that are just kind of standard now in mecha and just shown in anime in general kind of come from.
Yeah,
it's good.
So you're saying that it's definitely of a time. Would you say that dates it, or?
Yeah, there's some stuff there that, I mean, if you didn't realise that this was the precursor, if you didn't realise this was the original, you would say, this show is really basic. You got to realise it's not basic, it was never done before.
Yeah, this was the first of its kind.
And I'm struggling because I'm on a site called My Anime List, and you basically just catalogue everything you watch, and it helps build that horrific fear that you realise you've wasted 30 odd days of your life this year watching anime. The one thing though is you give each show a score, and some people get really defensive about certain shows getting certain
scores. Can other
scores.
people see that your scores?
If you've got them as a friend, or if you can look at somebody's profile, you can go through the list of everything they've watched, and you could look. Pretty sure it's searchable.
Yeah.
So some people will give me shit for giving as a High School DxD 10s every season because it's a masterpiece of just titties.
See, I keep confusing High School DxD with High School of the Dead. They're not the same show.
No. High School of the Dead is a masterpiece. It's a genuine Tarantino made a zombie anime movie. Like, that's the level of just fun it is, and it only lasts for like 13 episodes.
All right.
And
with bullets going through
titties, and it's so wrong and so weird and so perverse, but it's great. It's amazing. Like the show itself, the zombies, the violence, the gore, it is everything about zombie horror films I like, jacked up to like the not even 11, like 15, and then filmed using basically porn parody actors, but at the same time it's anime, so it's not really films, but you know what I mean. Like, it's everything's like almost a porn parody of itself. High School DxD is a weirdly complex story about a guy being converted into a demon to fulfill the wishes of his ultimate kind of, I don't know if it would take a class of MILF because she's a demon, but I don't know. She is the president of the school's occult club, who just so happens to be a demon.
Okay.
Which seems like the easiest in ever.
Yeah.
Like, why are you guys covered in blood and like studying a pentagram? Well, we're the occult club. Yes, we're not demons at all. No, please come frolic with us as we are studying. This is not a hoax. I thought you made that excuse
with your soul and your body parts intact.
Total guarantee. So he becomes unraveled in this world of angels and demons, and you know the way that like Supernatural started off as just being kind of vague and trashy and about hunting like the monster of the week, but then got really complicated really fast as all the angels and demons got involved. Yeah, same thing, but with anime, and again, basically a porn parody of itself. It's disgusting. Like to put it into perspective, Issei, the main character, his powers are based on his emotional feelings for someone and his sexual attraction to the main lassie, Rhea Scrimmery. At one point, he powers up by poking her nipples. I struggle to think of the power this man would grasp if he was going to actually grab onto her. Like, oh shit, he'd go take a handful, and
he'd probably go Super Saiyan Blue levels of power.
Super Saiyan fucking throbbing boner, I think would be the problem. It's a weird show. I jokingly put it as a 10 because it's a fucking masterpiece of just absolute trash. Yeah. But at the same time, like, you can't, like, when people are like, oh, I accidentally, like, I was watching an anime, it was really good, and then my parents walked in just on the one sex scene and they think it's all perverted. High School DxD is that one sex scene over and over and over and over again.
For 13 episodes a season.
You could not overestimate how many times this show leads you right up to the point of, like, because it's a light novel based thing, and because it's it's an ecchi anime, not a porno, so it has to be as titillating as possible, but never actually show you anything good. Right. Despite the fact it does have several topless scenes, and every character in the show is stacked, with the exception of one girl who's kind of bitchy but also kind of flat chested.
I'm guessing she's over 1,000 years old.
She's the tomboy.
She's the tomboy, right?
I'm trying to remember if they do discuss her age.
Characters are always over 1,000 years old or something like that.
Yeah, it's a legal lolly. What was the? I think she actually might be an ageless demon. I can't remember. The show is that level of trashy. I don't think they care. I think they could honestly have just put a lolly in there and said, yeah, she's 13. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, who gives a fuck?
It's a fucking mess of a show, but at the same time, I call it a 10. And on that website, some people might take objection to that. So I don't know how to grade Neon Genesis Evangelion because I'm grading it on a curve. But the curve is all the shows I've seen that before I watched the show. The only thing is they happened after Neon Genesis Evangelion and took inspiration from it.
Yeah, I think ultimately, I'm guessing the shows that you're saying that it took inspiration from were the likes of some Gundams and other sort of anime. All kind of boils down to if you like those shows and you appreciated the source ultimately. Because I've heard,
but the source isn't great. It's not perfect. That's the problem. Is the way it's talked about is it's seen as perfect because there was nothing like it before. But I've seen everything that comes since that refines it and perfects it more than that.
Because I'd rather watch Gundam Thunderbolt or Gundam Unicorn over Evangelion, because I've never dug the concept of Evangelion, and from what little I've seen with the movies, Shinji is just not likable whatsoever.
I have a note here that literally is just Shinji is a total bitch.
Yeah,
worse than Shinjiro from Ultraman.
Slightly, only slightly.
No. The show itself, he's a lot worse, because the show has 26 episodes, has a lot more time to let Shinji be a bitch.
Yeah.
But I will say, if we're going to talk about the characters, you can explain a lot of why Shinji is a total bitch by his father.
Yeah, Gendo is a bit of a
complete cunt.
Yeah, he's a bit of a bastard.
I honestly have never. I was expecting something to happen. I just call him Shinji's dad. I don't care about what his name is.
I think it's Gendo Ikari. His name is.
Yeah, he's no longer referred to as Commander Ikari. So
yeah,
it might be Gendo. I maybe haven't got to that part yet.
Because the Gendo pose is one of the most used tropes in anime. Just when he's sitting with the hands up there and the glasses are all whited out.
Yeah. And there's weird things that I would say as he's watching stuff happen, like it's reflecting on his glasses.
Yeah.
But it's probably one of the worst kind of like green screen thing. Like it's obviously just like green screened out so they can change it quicker.
Yeah.
And it's really obvious. I don't know what it is. There's something about it really stands out.
As someone who wears glasses, someone who wears glasses and watches anime, I was incredibly disappointed to find out that when light hits your glasses, they don't just white out so no one can see your eyes. I was debated by that.
But
I hate that word. Don't know why I just said debated. I was baited by it.
There's one scene that I was expecting, because I was expecting he's the hard dad. He is a businessman. He's
a general or something, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a commander of this private-esque military force. Like it's not
NERV or something.
Yeah, NERV. It kind of seems like a federal agency, but at the same time also seems like a private business. Yeah. It's kind of hard to figure out where the line is drawn.
PMC.
Yeah, I think that might be I think it might be where they end up, and it just so happens they are the ones responsible for protecting the city.
Yeah.
I was expecting there to be a moment where he just says, "Look, I'm hard on you because blah blah blah." I maybe just haven't gotten to that part yet. But there was a scene at his wife and therefore Shinji's mother's grave. Could not be more of a cunt at the grave of his child's mum, honestly. Like they spend most of the time just silently staring at this, and there's something we'll talk about later about silence in this show.
Yeah.
But he is there with his son, the perfect opportunity for a little kind of
heart to
heart, or a bit of an olive branch extended. Say, look, I'm putting you through hell, but there's a reason, and there's, you'll understand when you're older or something like that. Nothing like that. He's just a complete cunt. Stands there, tells him, "Yep, this is your mum's grave. This is where we buried her." Honestly, though, it's a lie. There's no body there. We couldn't find her body. That's just a grave to make things easier for you.
Jesus Christ.
And you're like, what the fuck is wrong with this? Like, I mean, I'm hoping there's some explanations, maybe not a redemption, but an explanation of why he's like that. Maybe it's because he has the fate of humanity holding in his... everything he does might affect humanity, and that therefore explains why he's a total cunt. But at the same time, it's bad character. It's a bad character.
Yeah. From what I've always seen, I've always thought that he has so much riding on him in terms of beating the angels and shit like that, that he doesn't have time to deal with the kid.
Yeah.
But ultimately, even the shittiest of dads, eventually take some time to deal with the kid.
Yeah.
But this guy seems to have transcended Heihachi status from Tekken. And those who don't know, in Tekken 2, or no, I think it's in Tekken 1, one of the opening cutscenes is a young Kazuya Mishima fighting an older than Kazuya Heihachi Mishima. Obviously it's his dad. I don't know how to explain that, but young Kazuya is fighting his dad Heihachi. Heihachi beats him because he's older, stronger, faster, and at the end of it he just picks him up and throws him into a volcano. Literally just goes, because I should also say that Kazuya Mishima has a thing called the devil gene that would basically supplant Heihachi, and Heihachi's all about money and power and what have you. Or at least that's how I look at it. So he just goes, I'm going to rid the world of this devil gene, and throws a 12-year-old boy into a volcano.
Fucking get yeeted, boy.
Yeah. Literally, he carries on like this. Doesn't even cradle him or anything like, this is my son, my failure. He just goes, nope. Later, kid. I'm going to go and bang your mum some more.
Later, nerd. Maybe the next one won't be a complete failure. Fuck you. into the volcano with you. And, there was actually, talk about like, a basic father would have done something to help Shinji at this point.
Yeah.
There's actually a scene earlier in the show where there's a power outage, but just before there's a power outage, Shinji's trying to call his dad to explain that he has, like, I think some, like, thing he has to do where he has to interview his dad, and he's trying to arrange to come see him, like, he has to book a meeting because his dad's a cock. He actually, like, on the phone with his son says, why are you bothering me with this shit? I have someone assigned to take care of you so that I don't have to deal with this. Now, that's a horrific breakdown to give to your kid, who, you, by the way, at the start of the show, it's explained, he hasn't seen the kid in 3 years.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, to say that on the phone to the kid you're trying to shove off to the side might be one of the worst things I've ever seen anime characters do to each other.
Yeah, social security or social services should be on the phone to Shinji anytime. They just go, yeah, your dad doesn't want you anymore. You're going to come with us.
Like, if you're going to be mad that the help isn't helping you raise your child, would you at least have the decency to do that on the phone to the help, not on the phone to the child you're trying to get rid of?
Get in touch with,
If that happened in real life, we would gladly lock up that parent.
Yeah.
But because this guy is, saving humanity from horrific monsters from beyond space and time, it kind of does make sense in a way. But at the same time, it's a bad character in a way.
Yeah, it seems very one-dimensional. But
yeah,
I'm kind of hoping, because I'm still waiting on another person in my family finishing it before I watch it. But I kind of hope they redeem him somehow, or explain why he's so hard on Shinji, because it just seems like the kind of character that you get very bored of very quickly. I'm
already bored of him. Other characters, I mean, Asuka, the girl in the red gear. Yeah. I like her. She seems fun. Bit of a bitch, but she's the kind of bratty genius pilot, so it's kind of to be expected.
She's the prodigy pilot.
Yeah. My favorite though is Misato Katsuguri. Katsuragi? Yeah, I don't know. But she's the basically she's the MILF that's assigned to look after Shinji.
Alright.
But she wakes up in the morning and just rather than have a coffee has a beer. I'm like, alright, she's cool. I like her.
Fine.
She's got style.
I like her style.
Although for some reason I have never seen this raised in any discussion of Neon Genesis Evangelion. Why is there a penguin in the show called Pen that everyone's just kind of, okay, I guess there's a hyper intelligent penguin in the show? I've never had it. When the penguin showed up, I was like, what the fuck is that? It's called Pen, and it's a rock hopper penguin that just kind of hangs out.
Maybe it's like Ein from Cowboy Bebop.
But it's never addressed. It's never. He's just there for like an occasional bit of like kind of slapstick comedy. I don't know if he's going to get more involved later on, but at the same time, no one has ever mentioned, like even in passing, oh, by the way, there's a penguin.
Here's my penguin. You know what? It'll probably be explained in some side story manga that you're going to have to hunt down the last copy in Japan. It's probably not going to be worth it to find out why he's there. You're going to be only going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I saw this and I was like, seriously, there's a penguin, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that there's a weird random animal in a show. And again, like maybe this is one of the first ones to do it, and as you say, there's other, like it becomes a thing in anime later on that there's just an animal that hangs around. But did no one even think to mention that there's a fucking penguin in this show? Anyway, but yeah, the silence that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, the silence.
One of the first things I saw about this was a video by Super Eye Patch Wolf, who did a great explanation of why there is a 53-second shot of complete silence in one of the last episodes, where two characters that don't like each other are stuck in an elevator, and the idea being that you would be stuck in the silence with them, and it would make you uncomfortable.
Right.
It's a good directing choice, but
it's good and thematic.
Yeah, some people don't like it, and it gets a bit of critique every now and again. And I thought this was the only time this is done. The number of still shots with nothing going on in the show is absurd. I know it's a technique used to kind of pad out the runtime so that you get to 22 minutes, and when you're making something that is so intricately animated, like this is Studio Trigger and Studio Gainax at their finest. Like this goes on to become Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
there's a lot of the basic groundwork is in there, and it pays off. So if you want to like stall for like 10-15 seconds with a silent shot so that nobody has to animate anything that week so they can save the energy for the next big fight scene, I'm cool with it. But it happens all the fucking time. There was at one point, I didn't realize it was 50 seconds for the elevator shot that was talked about as part of episode 22. But at one point, Shinji goes to leave the project, the Nerve project, and he's basically put on a train and told to fuck off by two heavies because his dad's not going to do it in person, is he?
Yeah.
He standing there. They reveal that Shinji never got on the train to leave, and he's going to come back to the Nerve project. They do that by having him stand on the platform holding his briefcase after the train pulls away, and it's him staring at Misato, like just looking at her and just nothing, complete dead silence. If we did this, if we actually went to like the length of emulating that silence on this podcast, people would check their earphones to make sure they hadn't automatically turned off or something, or broken or something like that. It's like the longest fucking pause ever, and I was like, okay, they're gonna end it now. Like, they're going to build up the silence, and I get it now. It's uncomfortable. Nobody knows what to say to each other. Nobody knows what to do. Nobody knows how to react. That Shinji's going to come back and maybe try and make another go being a pilot. But at the same time, it's so fucking long.
Yeah. I mean, I've always never been a fan of those silent shots in anime anyway. Anime or movies, because there's always the shots, particularly in your action animes, where there's the two people about to face off. And then there's usually the sword, like the clasping the sword and the hilt. Then you hear the wind roll past. Then there'll be a good 15-20 seconds worth of silence. Then they'll rush at each other. Yeah, I always hated that. I get it's building up tension and
showing you how much the characters are overthinking things.
Yeah, show them it's just, well, if I do this, I leave an opening and he'll cut my head off or something. Yeah, it's good to build a thing, but having 53 seconds worth of it, I think it's just too much. I think you're pissing people off, or you're trying too hard to create a theme. Yeah, and I think that's where I ultimately don't like Hideki Anno's work, because he tries to create too much of a theme. He tries to force it a bit too much. Yeah, and I get that the guy's a revolutionary director, because I've seen some of his stuff with the Evangelion movies, and I've watched his Godzilla movie, Shin Godzilla. It's really good, very heavy on the themes. Yeah, it ultimately kind of tries to make you sympathise with Godzilla a little bit, which is weird to do. Yeah, because it shows you him like recoiling in horror as he's getting shot, and the pain on his face, as much pain as you can get on the face of a giant monster when he's getting the oxygen deprivation machine shoved down his throat, because that's ultimately how they kill him.
Just choke him out.
Yeah, they just choke him out. They shove all these wires.
We're going to choke him out from the inside.
They freeze him from the inside out. He ultimately, I think he goes just a touch too far with it, but ultimately I don't think Evangelion is for someone like me. Evangelion is for people that are heavily into sort of the anime and manga, not just mecha anime and manga. It's anime in general.
It's a lot. It's very dense. And you were talking about like forcing a theme. I'd heard that there was allusions to Christian mythology, and the main enemy is called the angels. Yeah. So it's going to be, and it's that classical view of the angels that, I mean, people are like, oh, an angel's such a nice caring figure. If you read the Bible and go to the Old Testament, angels are fire and brimstone. Yeah, they do not fuck around.
Yeah, they do not fuck about.
And that idea in Supernatural that they would, show up at one point and we would just realise that, well, time to deal with the monkey people as best we can, and we might as well just annihilate them. Any objections? Nah, not really. Fuck them. Just annihilate everything. Like, it's that level of like the angel metaphor of just, it's not human. It doesn't have human emotions the way we think of things. It just says, well, I'm going to take the most logical path, which is annihilate humanity. The only thing is, that's not the most important part of the show. The most important part of the show is the fucking constant bombardment of crucifixes.
Yeah, a lot of Christ imagery.
It's so... I was thinking maybe it's going to be kind of subtle, slid in little places. Not even kind of subtle.
They hit you over the head with it in a few scenes from what I've heard.
It's almost a little much in places. I'm like, okay, I'm only 14 episodes in. I've seen about 20 crucifixes so far. Not only in just the design of the... Like, there's sometimes you just see it subtly in the design of certain things. Yeah. And there's like, at one point I saw it in a roadmap of like one of the like parts of Tokyo 3. I was like, okay, there's a crucifix there. I spotted that. They then fire a laser beam down it to highlight the fact that it's a crucifix by having it blow up in the middle of like a cross section so that it blows out, like it fires down the street, blows up in the middle, and then just splits out into a fucking laser beam crucifix. I was like, guys, this is not subtle. This is not good. This is not like if this was revolutionary, what were we doing before?
Yeah. I mean, if maybe before it was unsubtle hints.
Yeah.
Now Hideki Anno just wants to beat you over the head with it.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm going to keep going with it. I'll give you final thoughts next week or next time we do a podcast.
Yep.
That I'll watch all the episodes. I'll get the movies done as well because there's the end of Evangelion. Was it Death of Evangelion or whatever?
The only ones I know that are the...
Because there's the 26 main episodes and then there's 2 movies to follow up because the ending of the show was a bit... Yeah. So they wanted to actually end it with a movie.
I think there's definitely End of Evangelion and there's another one.
There's another one. It's Death of something.
The only one I know... The only movies that I know of were the 1.1, 2.2, 3.3 ones.
Yeah.
And that's just retelling the story of the show.
Yeah. I might go and watch those, see if it's any better because at this point...
The animation is definitely better.
Not hard.
They clean it up a lot.
Yeah.
In fact, they redid the whole thing, I think. That's why it took so damn long to come out.
It's feeling like a bit of a slog. Not just because it's a heavy, meaty, intellectual anime. It's because it's clunky as fuck and it's aged. And it's taking a time to get through it.
Do you think that your modern anime fan has grown past the heavy hitting aspect of Evangelion? Do you think they've just and they've grown out of it? They just think, we have other things that do that better.
I think it's there. I think you're right on the idea that there are other shows that do it better, and I think it's hard to appreciate a classic with current technology. I mean, I've had a discussion before of someone who talked about Star Wars because they saw Star Wars before, when it came into cinema. Like the first time, literally the phrase, there was nothing like this before this happened. And I do think certain things deserve a little bit of relevance or reverence, when they have that status, and I think Evangelion probably qualifies for it. Yeah. So I don't want to be kind of betraying my own principle. They were saying that things should be observed with awareness of where they were presented. So I mean, like, but this just feels like Citizen Kane. Like, it feels that way, that it's a classic. It's one of the best things ever made. But since then, everyone has learned from that thing and has presented things better, or has done things better than Evangelion. I think it's hard to judge it right now as someone who watches more modern things that do things better than Evangelion has done in certain places. But at the same time, knowing that it was never done like this before. Yeah. You gotta appreciate it on that level.
It's good to see the origin point, but I just my worry is that
it gets a free pass because it's the origin.
Does it get a free pass because it's the origin, or are people going to look at it more critically now? And I suppose with the air quotations controversy about the alterations, does it get downvoted and then shifted from the public eye?
The main thing that people want to moan about is the fact that the ending of each episode used to be "Fly Me at the Moon."
Yeah, but they can't get that now.
And they can't get it, and it's like, it ruins the entire. No, it doesn't. I'm sorry, I'm watching it right now. It doesn't. I don't care that I know "Fly Me to the Moon" by Frank Sinatra. I've got it playing in my head randomly at any point in the day.
Yeah. It's the only good version, because I've heard the version that they've used for the show. It's not Frank Sinatra. Yeah, it's a Japanese singer or something like that.
Sinatra's probably going to be a better version of it.
Yeah, it's not great.
And I'm sorry, the song they've got there works. It works perfectly fine.
Does the job.
Yeah, I enjoy the A Cruel Angel's Thesis, the intro. Yeah, fun. I like it. Very, very poppy. Very, very of the time. Yeah, it feels like it was trying to compete with Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, even though it wasn't. Yeah,
you can't compete with Cowboy Bebop in terms of opening themes. Tank is just a fucking perfect song. So I think I am looking at it thinking this might have been revered too much. Yeah, there's criticisms of it that are being ignored, but it's still fine. It's still perfectly. Yeah, I think, like you said, I think people give it a free pass because it was so revolutionary at the time. Upon rewatches, people are just thinking it was good at the time, so it's ultimately still good now. Yeah, but it just seems like a kind of show that, again, talking about what I spoke about earlier, there's just too much hype about it. Yeah, fucking dogs, man.
To bring it back to the idea of that, the Mal website. Yeah. To give it its score there is 8.4. The highest is, I think Death Note might still be the highest rated anime on there all the time. Because
it's pish.
You love it or hate it. Yeah. You gotta admit, it's very well made anime.
Yeah, I'll give it that.
It's absurdly good.
Yeah, really well really well drawn, really well animated.
It might not be your thing, but at the same time, it's still a damn good show.
Again, I think it would be a fantastic show if they ended it 5 episodes earlier.
Oh, end it after Elle's gone.
Yeah, when Elle kicks the bucket, have that as light or Kira's big victory. Then show him. Then just leave it at that. Don't do this whole Kira has to die.
Yeah,
you've already ended the big main battle. Yeah. Having him fight 2 other sub lights is kind of shit. Sub L's are pretty shit.
Actually, sorry, I made a big mistake there.
Okay.
Top anime of all time on Mal is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Okay, I've heard good things.
Hard to argue with that one.
I've not watched it, but I've heard a lot of people saying it's really good.
After that, wow, really, Shingeki no Shonen, which is Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2, interesting, at 9.19. I don't think that's everyone's reviews are all in for that one.
Yeah, but one person rating it that high.
The efficiency of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood compared to half a season of an anime, not entirely buying that one, but Death Note's definitely still up there, I think. But again, that's the score for the top anime of all time, 9.24.
And that's Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yes.
Right.
And then Evangelion is 8.44. I think this is being held in a weirdly reverent place.
Yeah, I think it's still resting on its laurels.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if people watch it nowadays, they're going to get a totally different feel for the movie, or feel for the show. Because one of the best rated superhero movies of all time is the original Batman movie. But I went back and rewatched that recently. It's a good film. Tim Burton directing the Batman movie actually kind of fits the theme of the overall movie, but it's still not a great Batman movie.
Yeah.
There's still, at one point, his cape lifts up and you can see the corset straps that hold the Batsuit on his back.
Yeah.
And he's wearing Nikes. Sorry, Nikes.
Yeah. So the score for Evangelion is 8.33. I think the problem is, though, that as soon as, if you were to come back at this the way I am, having never seen it and reviewing it as a new piece of media in 2019 and saying it's a bit kind of, it's good, but it's not perfect. It doesn't deserve the top spot on lists. I think if you could overthink about it for decades. The only problem is the immediate critique. The immediate response would be, well, you're watching the Netflix version. You're not watching the real version. Yeah, well, the real version costs about $200 to ship from the US if I can get it.
Yeah, it's not worth it. You could probably hunt anime conventions and find them in pieces, but ultimately the Netflix version is probably the most consistent version that people are going to get.
It's the version you can actually get your hands on.
Yeah. You're actually going to be able to watch it. You don't have to wait 3 weeks and pay $200 something plus to get it. So yeah, I give it a go. I definitely think it's worth watching. If you can't get into the style of it, I wouldn't blame you. Because fuck me, it's clunky. I've watched Evangelion stuff before, so I was all ready to give it a pass. But a few people have said give it a try, you might like it. So I'm willing to give it a couple episodes, but we'll see.
You know, I honestly don't think you will.
Really? I don't think I'll make it?
I think you're going to be really frustrated with Shinji. Yeah. I really think, because a show's protagonist sells the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Shinji is he's a whiny little bitch to the point of being unlikable, which takes some effort.
Yeah. Because if there's one thing that I've noticed, I can't really put up with things like that anymore. Yeah. If people, just say Shinji, his whole point is to get in the mech. If he doesn't do that, I'm going to get pissed.
Yeah.
Because I've been watching a lot of Twitch streams. People playing games that I know inside and out. I watched someone play Resident Evil 2 and they spent 45 minutes going through the shopping, the little gas station at the start of the game.
Yeah.
That is a 5-minute section at most. And I'm just sitting there losing my mind going, leave the petrol station. Leave the fucking petrol station. So, yeah, I think that might kind of hamper my watching of
I think
Evangelion.
The problem is as well is that, as I say, when I watch these type of things approaching 30.
Yeah.
I have no time
for cynicism in there.
I have no time for teenage melodrama anymore.
Nah.
It's
unless
quickly
it's
evaporating. Yeah, true.
Go with that.
Stranger Things, or there's giant titties involved. So I mean, there's not a lot going on in the show that I don't think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll walk away going, no. That's a no for me, dog.
Yeah.
Give it the 3 episodes. The 3 episode rule exists in anime for a reason.
Yeah,
and
I'll watch it. I'll give it a shot. Purely based on its pedigree, though, I'll give it a shot, because I've never walked into an anime that people have recommended that doesn't really have a pedigree and walked out liking it. But even at that, with Death Note and Gurren Lagann, I watched all of those and I was like, I didn't make it past episode 6 of Gurren Lagann. Yeah. Because the main character dies within the first couple of episodes.
It's episode 10.
Is episode 10?
I actually got a message from Son of Odin. the Odin Son has reached out on Twitter,
Alright.
and I was talking about Evangelion, and he said, "Oh yeah, something about Gurren Lagann," and he said, "Yeah, but you'll have to make it through a certain character's death." I said, "Look, honestly, I didn't like that character."
If it's the character, it's the character I'm thinking of.
It is the character you're thinking of.
His voice actor voices Ryu in Street Fighter, so I'm all into that character. But if he dies at a certain point and they just spend the rest of the show talking about it,
yeah,
I'm fucking done with that.
They pretty much do. And
it's just bullshit.
It's more that teenage melodrama that we just don't have time for anymore.
Yeah,
I'm really glad I left that part of my life behind, and I don't want to go back to it. I can throw out a quick anime recommendation because I know I've talked about it for like 45 minutes at this point. Yeah. I've been really enjoying Attack on Titan season 3.
Okay.
I would say that the episodes that have released on the dub, which is Perfect Game, Hero, and Black Sunrise or Midnight Sunrise.
Okay.
3 of the best episodes that show has ever produced. Mostly, I mean, the animation is unbelievable. At one point, the episode Perfect Game refers to baseball, and the one of the Titans refers to he's throwing rocks, he's throwing boulders, but he's doing it with baseball style moves.
Right.
The animation of it is freakish. It's he's drawn long. He's a long, like, lanky character, and they overextend it to play in the kind of metaphor, like to make it really obvious. This is a baseball thing we're talking about here. He's pitching crushed up boulders and using it as shrapnel, and he is laying waste to a town and then laying waste to soldiers using this crushed up boulders, and it's amazing. But the fight for I think it's not Trosk. It's the prefecture that Eren comes from. The fight for that area is 3 of the best episodes that show's ever produced, because it's everything that Attack on Titan does right, and it's the best presentation of it I've seen to date. Because Attack on Titan does a lot of good stuff, and sometimes does the good stuff wrong. But this, it's sometimes, again, it's way too melodramatic. Half of the answers or half of the resolutions in the show are screaming. And the action's fantastic. It's always been consistently great throughout the seasons. It's the main selling point of season 1 is, oh my god, would you look at this thing that's happening in front of you? And it's gorgeous. It's well put together, and the character moments that really shine through. There's a bit of back and forth about certain decisions that are made in the show, but I would say if you were going to get back into it, it's worth it now to get into it for season 3's episodes, especially for part 2. Part 1 was good. Part 2 has been even better. And there's the announcement that season 4 will be the last season of the anime, and it will wrap up in 2020. Because the manga is also finishing at the same time. So, if you're like us and watch Game of Thrones and are now very, very worried about artists for a TV project running ahead of source material, this is going to get very interesting.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'm about to go back and watch, because the episode wasn't out before I came up here to the podcast, was to make sure that we have the next couple episodes will feature the big the reveal of what's in the basement, which has been the driving force of the show for the last 3 or 4 seasons. Alright. So I kind of need to see what's in that basement, and then I do know that they achieve another major goal, because I watched the Japanese a clip of it on Twitter. Yeah, because somebody posted up, look at the fucking animation of this thing, and I was like, oh my god, that is gorgeous. I can't wait for that. So season 3 will end on a really good note. But how you proceed with season 4, since the manga isn't finished and the anime itself will finish about the same time, I don't think we're going to get to the end before the manga readers do. But at the same time, because it's being produced for 2020, that means they're going to have to work either with minimal they need to start now. Yeah, they've probably started drawing in production now. They are going to need to work kind of without all of the safety wheels in place. I'm a bit concerned, mostly because of Game of Thrones. So
I genuinely think the smart thing to do in that respect would be get the rough sort of eggshell design of the story from the manga writer, and just take it from there and just check in every so often. Don't do what the Weiss and Benioff did and just make their own shit up and say, this is how it's going to happen, you get to your end in your own way. That is the wrong way to do it.
Don't give like a couple of bullet points, say this person must this is how the final ending must be, get there by yourself. Say this happens, like lay out 5 to 10 bullet points of these are key events that must happen to explain the world. So I think they're going to do that. I think they're very smart about it, especially with Attack on Titan. It is the Game of Thrones of anime. in both its stature and its brutality. I'd say if you mess it up, especially after Game of Thrones, people are going to really revolt about that. And I can't stand another. But the manga's better.
Yeah, but that's going to happen with every fucking property out there. No matter what. I know you said you're done with teen melodrama, but we're going to talk about some more goddamn teen melodrama because I saw Spider-Man Far From Home.
There's teen melodrama? Okay, alright.
Spider-Man is 16. That's actually one of the things I prefer about this version of Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's not in high school and looking like a 30-year-old man like he was in the original, and he wasn't how old was he? I think he was 18 in The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, but again looking like he was about 30.
Yeah.
This Spider-Man actually looks like he was old enough to be in high school, because he's only 22, I think.
Tom
Holland's not that old.
Nah, he's not.
20, maybe even 20. I don't know, he might not even be 22. But ultimately, I'm going to start off with my rating of the whole movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a solid 8.5.
Right.
Really good movie. It does enough in the show to remind you that this is post Endgame.
Yeah.
This is a damaged Peter.
Yeah.
He has lost his safety net, and the people in New York and around Peter, they're suffering the effects of the blip, is what they call it. There's been so many names for it. There's the decimation, there's the snap, because it was the term the blip was made by Peter's high school colleagues.
Yeah,
because they open the movie with a little in memoriam type thing made by the high schoolers. Right. So it's all like Getty Image watermarks and stuff over pictures of Iron Man and stuff. Right. In memoriam is spelt in Comic Sans. It's pretty funny. It's a good way to open it to remind you that this isn't going to be Endgame, so just lower your fucking expectations.
This is post snap. We're getting back to kind of business as usual with Marvel heroes,
and that's why I liked it. It's getting back to business as usual, because you have the huge bombastic fucking over the top action of Endgame. Now you're going to the friendly neighborhood. You're going back to Spider-Man. And the movie opens with, like I said, the memoriam, and then it goes to Peter dressed in the Iron Spider outfit.
Yeah.
Doing a sort of fundraiser with Aunt May to help the people of New York recover after the blip. It's kind of a food hall type thing. It's just like come and get the food bank type thing.
Yeah. And
it's just like, come meet Spider-Man, come get your photos, and then everyone's talking to him saying, Spider-Man, what are you going to do now that Iron Man's not here? Are you going to step up? Are you going to be the next Iron Man? And they have that kind of overwhelmed scene where he goes, I gotta go, and he flips away. And that's when you get the opening shot that's when you get one of the shots for the trailer where it's him with his mask off looking up at the mural of Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of sets the whole theme for it, because he's obviously he's missing Tony Stark. He's not really sure what his next step's going to be, but the whole film is set to the backdrop of a sort of class trip to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just looking forward to leaving the costumes and stuff behind, going and being a 16-year-old kid, hanging out with his friends, awkwardly talking to his crush and what have you. And there's a lot of that in this movie.
Yeah,
I think that kind of helps a bit, because it reminds you that Spider-Man is just a teenager.
Yeah,
he's not a billionaire like Tony Stark. He's not a genius gamma physicist with 7 PhDs under his belt like Dr. Banner.
Yeah,
he's not a super soldier. It just reminds you that he is more grounded than any other character.
And it's good to have him go back to being a kid.
Yeah, and ultimately he's with the exception of Captain Marvel and Thor, who are off-world, he's kind of the strongest Avenger that's left on Earth.
Yeah,
physically the strongest, because obviously you've got War Machine, but he's got the suit. Like powers wise, he's probably one of the strongest Avengers left on the planet.
Yeah.
And obviously he goes to, as you've probably seen from the trailers, he goes to Europe. He finds that there's these elemental things that are tearing through Venice and all these places that he happens to be at. Then Nick Fury intercepts him, says his whole thing is he disappeared 5 years ago before the blip. He come back, he doesn't know anybody, he's got no contacts, he used to cover the globe, now he's got nothing. So he reins Spider-Man in, saying, you need to step up. Tony Stark gone, he trusted you with leading the Avengers.
Yeah, he gave you a suit, he gave you the keys to the castle.
Yeah, you are, whether you like it or not, the next Iron Man. And they do that kind of well, because it shows them that he's just, no, I don't want to be Iron Man. No one can be Iron Man. I don't want to try and step up to that.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to keep my feet on the ground. I'm going to keep solving shit on my end. Get Captain Marvel, get Doctor Strange, get fucking Thor. I'm not going to do any of this shit.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of back and forth that I kind of wish they would speed up a bit, because Nick Fury...
it feels like they maybe went over the question again and again and again, and it's like, dude, we get it. He's in trouble. He can't figure it out.
They go through it about 2 or 3 times, and Most of it is just Nick Fury shouting at Spider-Man going, you need to step the fuck up, you need to grow the fuck up. And it gets to the point where just thinking, shit, get off the pot.
Yeah.
you're pissing me off, your Spider-Man.
We get the core question, movie, move on.
Yeah. But the one of the best additions of this is actually Quentin Beck as Mysterio.
Yeah.
It's really good throughout the entire movie.
Jake Gyllenhaal, right?
Yeah, it's Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. I could trust him to lead a weird character like that.
Yeah, and it's a very duplicitous character, because a very two-faced character, because on the one hand he has to keep up the false pretense of being a superhero. Should also say, before I go any further, heavy spoilers.
Yeah.
So you're not really bothered about spoilers, but for those out there who are thinking, I'm going to go and see Spider-Man, but I'm going to listen to this new Gibberpish episode first, pause this episode.
First of all, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the downloads.
Appreciate it.
Love you. Pause this episode, go and watch the movie, then come back. But spoilers will be getting made. So you've got the superhero Quentin Beck, who's trying to keep up the pretense of being from another dimension, and then you've got the regular Quentin Beck, who's just using his drones as technology to keep up this illusion that he is going to be the next Tony Stark, in order to get a certain item from Peter. And the item that he's after is an AI called Edith, which is linked to these glasses that Tony leaves to Peter, and they can control anything. They control all the Stark satellites. They can control basically anything that Tony could, as related to Stark Industries, can now be controlled by Peter or whoever has the glasses. And after they take down the Elementals, Peter kind of gets a bit starstruck, saying, "No, you're the next Iron Man. You have all these crazy powers. You can control these cool laser beams. You beat the Elementals. I'm going to transfer control of Edith to you." And of course he goes, "No, I couldn't do that." "Yeah, sure, I'll take him."
Well, if you insist.
That was the one bit of the movie that I just kind of thought, he kind of took that a bit too quickly. You could have done that a bit better. Because I would have preferred it if there was a bit of, no, Tony said you should have them. And he does do that, but it's almost like, Tony said you should have them. Okay, if you want me to have them, I'll take them. Take them. And he transfers ownership and stuff. And then after that is when you get the big reveal that he's just a fucking shyster. He's talking absolute shit. And then all the drones that are putting up the hologram technology, they sort of appear, the hologram disappears, and you see all his cronies behind them. That's when you get the reveal that they're all former Stark Industries employees from different parts of the movie. And you see Jake Gyllenhaal's character superimposed into the back of the Civil War sort of therapy presentation when Tony Stark's going through one of his memories where he's talking to his mum and his dad the day before they died. That hologram technology was made by Quentin Beck. Then you see him at the back of the stage show as Tony Stark's walking away before he gets cornered by that mother that says, "My son died in Sokovia, what are you going to do about it?" Then it cuts to the person that operates all the projectors getting shouted at by Obadiah Stane from the first Iron Man movie. And I kind of thought, I trust Marvel to flex on people that much, to say, alright, we're going to get this guy in for a cameo, we're going to bring him back for this movie because we can. We didn't fuck up our timeline that much.
It's a very impressive move, and we were joking about this before we started the podcast, was that it's a flex that only Marvel can do, and you can only flex this hard when you have an established, committed fan base, committed to a continuous world, rather than just individual movies.
It's a very focused effort on continuity, just to keep things continuous throughout it, and it pays off throughout the movie. It ultimately cements the fact that these guys are so spurned by Iron Man that they won't do anything, even if it has tarnished his legacy. And that's ultimately what Mysterio wants to do. He wants to become better than Tony Stark. He wants to wipe his legacy off the face of the earth and just become the next Iron Man and be better than him. Because of ego, and that's what Mysterio's always been about. It's ego. It's just, I don't need powers to be the best. I can trick people into being the best. People love a good story. And obviously, as you could probably guess, they didn't do the Captain Marvel thing,
right?
Of saying, "Oh, Mysterio's actually the good guy. The bad guy was actually X." No, he's the bad guy, and he plays it pretty well, because he's fighting an evil Iron Man, because he's got the technology and he's got the team behind him, and it's not so much an out and out fist fight, because Quentin Beck's just a regular dude. But against Spider-Man, he knows he can trick him because he's a naive teenager.
And if you have Spider-Man throwing punches, somebody's going through a fucking wall. And
he can use his intelligence, he can use his technology to outsmart Spider-Man. And they kind of hint at the start of the movie that there's something going wrong with his spider sense.
Right.
His spider sense has always been there, because it shows you that in Civil War when the sort of the extendable tunnel thing that connects you to the plane, that falls on top of him, but he doesn't pay attention. You see the kind of screen shrink on him.
Yeah.
And he thinks, all right, I need to catch this. But at the start of the film, they show it in a kind of a weird way, because Aunt May throws him a banana. And he doesn't immediately catch it, and she goes, "Oh, is there something wrong with your Peter Tingle?" That's
your Peter Tingle.
Peter Tingle. It's pretty funny. And he goes, "Oh no, it's fine. My spider sense is fine." But then you kind of get through the rest of the film that it's kind of off, and
right.
it's more emotionally linked than anything, because spider sense would work constantly in other avenues, but now it's kind of linked to his emotions. If he trusts someone, it's not going to flare up to anything weird around them. So if he says, "Oh, there's something off in the distance," but it's kind of centered around Quentin Beck, spider sense isn't going to kick in. It's kind of, he has to focus it a bit more.
It's an interesting way of dealing with what would be Peter Parker's PTSD, and that he went through hell because his mentor Tony was willing to go with him, and now the mentor's gone. Who does he trust? How does he trust? Can he actually make an honest connection like that? And then to have it affect something that's so core to Spider-Man is a great move.
And it helps this drive the story along, because he's lost his mentor, like you said, and he's so desperate to try and find a new mentor that he's willing to trust anybody.
Yeah. And when you pair that up with someone who is a fraudster, someone who is an illusionist, someone who, I think when we watched the cartoons, was he psychic? Was he able to just project illusions?
He had no powers whatsoever. But in the original cartoon, the 90s cartoon that we watched, he was just a master visual effects artist. He worked in movies. Yeah. So he knew how to do the smoke and mirrors. Obviously, that doesn't really fly in the modern movies, because they need to make these huge, massive fucking set pieces. So Stark technology is always the massive drawback of the new Marvel movies, because we're going to make this giant nuclear weapon. What is it made out of? Stark technology. When are we going to get away from that? Because Ultron, Stark technology. Ultron was originally made by Hank Pym as a sentry for the world. Yeah. And there was something else that was Vision he was made by, I think, Reed Richards or something like that. This time he's Stark technology. Yeah. It's just, they fall back on Stark technology so much, but they definitely did try to make.
It's weird that they didn't do the Pym thing, but Reed Richards, you're kind of stuck with the whole Fox licensing thing, which, I mean, guess you could fix it now, but
you can fix it now,
you
but
can't really at the time you make it. Yeah. But kind of not worth it.
Yeah, not really worth it. And they did definitely try to make Tony Stark the ultra genius of the MCU, even smarter than Bruce Banner, which doesn't really sit well with me, because Bruce Banner is hyper smart.
I think Bruce Banner is definitely still smarter. I think the issue is that Tony Stark's better at selling it. He's more to do with the industrial side of things. I just was saying earlier, watched a bit of Iron Man 1, and he's literally a weapons marketeer. Yeah. At one point, he's selling his technology, and he's coming from a lineage of that. Like, his father did the same thing during World War II, and it's part of his DNA is to make something and sell it, and he's good at it, so he markets it well. So if his technology is everywhere, it's because he's damn good at selling damn good products.
Yeah. And they kind of, I think it's the earmark of a Spider-Man movie where they have to keep bringing Tony Stark up, because obviously Tony Stark was a heavy selling point in Spider-Man Homecoming, to the point where the image that they use for Iron Man on the front cover is much bigger than the image that they use for Spider-Man. They say it's just to try and show perspective, but no, it's just Tony Stark's much bigger, because apparently they look at him as playing a more pivotal role than Peter in Spider-Man Homecoming, which is fucking strange. But in this one,
that, to be fair, there was Tom Holland's first Spider-Man movie, so maybe they're like, we can't guarantee Tom Holland will win this one over for everyone.
Yeah, let's get the big hitter in.
We got the heavy hitter Robert Downey Jr. right there, and he still fits in Iron Man suit. We can bore him for like 10-15 minutes, right? Yeah.
And I think he's in the movie for about half an hour in total. Yeah, he's in there for a lot of the movie. But in this one, they definitely try and mess with Peter a bit more, particularly Mysterio, because part of his illusion technology is he can basically just make his drone surround people and make him see, kind of similar to the Arkham Knight Scarecrow missions. Yeah, he can just create a reality around them. So there's one point where he's running through his high school, and his suits are constantly changing. So he goes from the black stealth suit that S.H.I.E.L.D. give him. Then when he gets Mysterio fucking around with him, he's in the blue and red suit that Tony Stark gave him. Then as he keeps going further back, he's going into the old pajama suit that he made himself. Yeah. And then at one point he's in the basement, or he's in a kind of graveyard looking place, and Mysterio's talking to him all the way through it. So he's saying, you couldn't save this person, you couldn't save that person, maybe if you were better this person would have lived. And then the grave of Tony Stark appears in front of him, and Tony Stark's sort of zombie body jumps out. And then Mysterio says, maybe if you were better, Tony would still be alive. And then at one point there was a woman sitting in front of me in the cinema, just kind of went, that's too far. He's barely even cold.
We buried him yesterday.
I only seen Endgame yesterday. I thought it's good for the character, but ultimately I think we could have leaned a bit less on Tony Stark. But the whole movie doesn't happen without Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Quentin Beck doesn't try and get Spider-Man without Tony Stark. Spider-Man doesn't get Edith without Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to Spider-Man 3, where they just have Peter Parker
doing Peter Parker things.
Yeah.
Without the hangover basically of the Avengers Endgame. But I think it might be necessary. I think it's a good story to tell.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea to not have everyone. I mean, with some of the Avengers movies, it does feel like you have the big summer blockbuster, and then that's it. There's no consequences. But the draw of the MCU is a constant world.
Yeah.
And that things happen that affect the worlds, and that's why when in Iron Man 3, after the Age of Ultron, they drop a city, and people die in that city, and then someone comes up and says, "Hey, that last big battle you had, killed my son. The fuck are you people doing?"
That's in Civil War.
In Civil War.
Iron Man 3's when he's got the PTSD from taking the nuke into the wormhole above New York.
But there's a point where the actions of these big blockbusters have a consequence.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a bad idea to show that it would come through on some of the heroes as well.
Yeah.
The same way that Iron Man 3 has the PTSD effect of visiting another realm within a spacesuit and almost dying
with a nuclear bomb strapped to your back.
I think it's worth looking at what would happen to the heroes of those stories in the event of an absolute catastrophic nightmare.
Yeah.
And the idea of losing your mentor should maybe be addressed in certain places. Yeah. So
my last point I'm going to make about it is they do set up for the third Spider-Man movie quite well.
Okay.
What they do is during the final battle, which is set in London.
Alright,
set on a London Bridge, because Quentin Beck is hiding on one of the tunnels above London Bridge, or tunnels that are connecting London Bridge, and he's just guiding drones about the place. Eventually, as you can probably guess, Peter finds his way through the drones, through the illusions, using his he's able to finally focus his spider sense to let him see what's real and what's not. And he finally corners Quentin Beck, and he's kind of destroying the drones. He's saying it's over. You're doing the whole "it's over, you've lost, just give up" type thing. And he says, "Doesn't matter, I have contingencies." And then the next scene that you see is one of his companions downloading something on a USB stick,
right,
closing his laptop and getting the fuck out of there. And then before that, during the fight, one of the drones shoots Quentin Beck, so he's kind of dying. Peter doesn't really kill him.
Right.
He has. I assume his whole thing was to try and bring him in.
Yeah.
So before he dies, he says, "None of this matters. I've got contingencies in place, kid. You're not ready for this." Then his final words to him or something along the lines of, both of us couldn't really be Tony Stark or something.
Right.
Some last quip to get at Spider-Man. But at the end of it, he has the obligatory scene where he's hooked up with MJ. He's finally very, very awkwardly admitted that he has feelings for the weird girl in his class. And they're doing the obligatory swinging through the city scene.
Mm-hmm.
Happened in all the other Spider-Man movies, has to happen in this one. So they're swinging through the city, and then there's a couple of fun bits. There's a bit where he takes a photo of himself to send to MJ when he's swinging to go and pick her up. It is taken from the Spider-Man PS4 game, because he's doing the same pose with the fingers up,
right.
And you can tell that someone has that whoever made this movie took that directly from Insomniac Spider-Man game from PS4.
Yeah.
And it made sense because the day it got released in cinemas, you could get the Far From Home costumes in the PS4 game. So you could tell that maybe they were working with that technology for a bit before.
Yeah.
Because the minute I seen it, I thought, that's from the fucking PS4 game. You cannot hide that.
Yeah, I know that. It's iconic.
I have seen it, yeah. And then but he drops off MJ and they say, "Oh, see you later," whatever. And then he hops up onto a lamppost ready to swing away. Then a a news bulletin comes up and it says, we have this new footage coming in from controversial news source the Daily Bugle, which is now a kind of InfoWars type show instead of a newspaper. And we have this footage coming in, and it's Quentin Beck saying, people in New York, my name is Quentin Beck, also known as Mysterio, please send help. I've been attacked by Spider-Man. He just came in and he started beating the shit out of me and destroying all my equipment. And then he shows them cut footage of him saying, execute them all or something, because he has to say to Edith, execute all kill commands. And he says, yeah, sure, execute them all, when he's shouting to Edith. And then he's cut that, and at the end of it says, if you're looking for Spider-Man, I know his name. Spider-Man's name is Peter Parker. Then you get the kind of Home Alone ending of him going, oh no. I thought that's not really the strongest ending, but it did show J. Jonah Jameson once again played by J.K. Simmons,
which is the best sentence of all time. Which
is the best ending of a Marvel movie I've ever seen, for two reasons. One, J.K. Simmons is back in Marvel. Two, J.K. Simmons is away from the train wreck that is DC. Because I love DC Comics. DC Comics in my mind are better than Marvel Comics, but DC movies are nowhere near as good as Marvel movies, and J.K. Simmons is the quintessential J. Jonah Jameson.
Yes.
Although they make him bald in this movie. They don't give him the...
What's wrong with that?
That's not, I know, but if you...
Look me in the eyes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
You be bald if you want.
Yeah.
But they make him bald, and I always associate J. Jonah Jameson with the guile grey hair.
Yeah.
But maybe they give him a wig in the next one. But I'm just glad that J. Jonah Jameson is back in the Spider-Man franchise, and it's the same actor from the Sam Raimi movies.
And we get a parody of InfoWars, which is always the best.
It's not
thing.
even subtle. They're just taking jabs because it's the same kind of desk that Alex Jones has, that weird kind of triangular one.
Yeah. And
it's the same kind of backdrop, but different colour, same kind of wavy flag thing. And the Daily Bugle sign is the same font as InfoWars. It's not even a subtle jab. I bet if Alex Jones is watching it, he's just going, hey, that's me. Wait, no, it isn't. They're turning me gay.
They turn me gay like a frog.
But it does highlight that the next Spider-Man movie is probably going to be Spider-Man against the Scorpion, because J. Jonah Jameson basically creates the Scorpion to hunt down Spider-Man.
Right. Okay.
So it'd be cool to see that. Yeah. And it'd be cool to see Spider-Man doing shit on his own.
Yeah.
Although I swear to Christ, if they kill Aunt May, I'm going to kill somebody. We finally, Marissa told me Aunt May is one of the best parts of the movie, because she's just your weird aunt. Like how she acts with Peter Parker is pretty funny. She's the overbearing parent figure. It's awesome. Although she has a weird relationship with Happy,
with
Jon Favreau's character.
Oh, right.
That Peter's aware of, but they never really bring it in the open, because at some point they're sitting talking to each other and Peter's just kind of side-eyeing them going, hey, what the fuck is going on here?
What's going on over here?
There's one point when he's flying a jet.
Yeah. Because
Peter, I should also say, it has some of the same beats as Iron Man.
Right.
So Peter loses all of his suits, and he manages to find a phone, because right, I'll go back a bit. He's fighting Mysterio inside an abandoned building in Berlin, and he gets his shit pushed in, and at the end of it, Mysterio tricks him onto train tracks, and Spider-Man gets hit by a train.
Right.
But apparently he's fine.
I mean, Spider-Man, yeah.
Yeah, he's got spider powers, so he ends up in a prison somewhere in Denmark. Because he just falls asleep in the train. I think it's in Denmark, or it's in the Netherlands somewhere, because he wakes up with the nicest prisoners on the planet.
Right.
Just gonna go, oh, we seen that you were cold, so we gave you one of our t-shirts. They're going, oh, it's very nice here. We want to stay. We don't want to go home yet. It has a weird conversation with some very nice prisoners. So he's lost his suit, and he manages to find a phone. He gets in touch with Happy, and Happy says, "Stay, or give me your coat, or give me your rough location. I'll bring the jet. I'll come and get you." So he wanders in the middle of a field. The plane lands down. He gets picked up by Happy. He says, right, I can take you. I know where Mysterio is going to be, but you need a suit. So he opens this big Stark Technology suit creator thing, and he starts making a suit. Then you have that moment of Happy looking at him going, yeah, Tony picked right. That kind of, you look just like Tony thing. So they get to London, and for his big exit, he's clinging onto the side of the jet. And the last thing he says to Happy before he jumps off, he says, we're going to have a talk about you and my aunt. Then he just backflips off the plane and just parachutes into London.
Stop fucking my aunt.
Yes, leave Aunt May alone. But the final point I'm going to make on this is, a lot of the reviews that I read coming up to this were comparing it to the PS4 game. And I ultimately think, I mean, the PS4 Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man property that has been for the past decade. Spider-Man Homecoming was good. Far From Home was fantastic. But Spider-Man PS4 gets Spider-Man. And I think it's totally going to ruin any Spider-Man property going forward. Because even the older Spider-Man movies, which weren't that great, are now worse because of the PS4 game. How well they got that.
Yeah.
And I think it's ultimately going to be a pretty hard bar to beat. And I get why they're comparing it to it, because Spider-Man PS4, if they turned that into a movie, that'd be the perfect movie. Perfect Spider-Man movie. But
it's two different mediums.
It's two different mediums, but it is something that I've seen a lot of people comparing it to, and I think I get why, but if you treat Far From Home as its own thing separate from that, it's still fucking fantastic. It's well worth going to see, and it's the perfect palate cleanser from Endgame, whereas Infinity War had Ant-Man and the Wasp, which was a fucking great movie. Endgame has Far From Home. I definitely recommend going to see it, even if you're not a big Spider-Man fan, even if you think Tom Holland as Spider-Man is not great, which a lot of people do. I'd still recommend going and seeing it. It's worth a watch.
Yeah. My only thought on that is that now means we can now refer to the movies as Spider-Man 2. Kind of a little bit of a head fuck, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I don't like... it's the only Spider-Man 2 movie that I actually like, because The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is garbage, and I really don't fucking like Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi version.
Yeah.
Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane Watson just screaming her fucking head off through the entire movie just pisses me off. She's bad.
Right. I've got a showstopper for you.
Let's do it.
Let's go for it. You're not gonna like this one.
Probably not, but that's the whole point of the showstopper. I either like it or I hate it.
It makes you not want to talk anymore, just to kind of sit and reflect.
It shuts down the brain.
So on this one, I want to talk to you about the most epic tug of war of all time. I was trying to find a way to segue. We're like, oh, it sounds like a real fight, real tug of war or something like that. But I couldn't figure a way to segue from Spider-Man to...
Somebody get his arm ripped off?
2 people lost their arm. Because on October 25th, 1997, a mass tug of war contest was held in a park along the Keelong River in Taipei. This is a area in the it's in Taiwan, basically. But it's the anniversary of the end of Japanese colonial rule over Taiwan. Japan had a very long period of just taking shit, and Taiwan was part of it. There were about 1,500 people involved in the contest, and together they exerted a force of 80,000 kilos.
Jesus Christ!
Does
it say how many people were on either side of the rope?
It'd be 50-50.
You'd say numbers wise.
But
that's a shit ton of force.
This is about 1,500.
Fucking hell.
So it's a lot of force being exerted on a nylon rope that was spec'd to take about 26,000 kilos. So again, it's a tough rope.
Yeah.
But they maxed it out by at least 3. So 3 times the force that this rope could take. Only thing is, the 2 front guys wrapped the rope around their arm.
Oh.
So as they get a bit of purchase and pull from the twisted rope around their arm.
Yeah.
Only thing is, when the rope snapped, there's a repercussive force, and the pulling or the effect of the rope being pulled and then stretched and then snapping ripped their arms off.
Jesus Christ, man!
I went looking for the description of how you described it. I can't remember the exact name for it, but the this type of force used to pull, stretch, and being held in place and then snapping ropes is usually used to refer to when you have a boat at a dock, and then it's tied on to the dock.
Yeah, it's moored.
Yeah, when it's moored in place, this is the equivalent force of the rope being snapped when if the seas were absolutely raging, and the boat itself is being pulled out by the ocean. This is where the term for that kind of torsion of the rope and then the snapping effect comes from.
Jesus. It's
ridiculous. 80,000 kilos
fucking hell
of force applied to a rope, and it snaps. And I'm not going to show you the photos.
Yeah,
I saw them.
Now I won't sleep tonight.
I saw them. Now I have a very bad series of hand job jokes. Now, there was also
the simplest of one. How is this for a hand job?
Yeah, it's an extended hand job. It actually
designed to make your mum just go, "Oh, that's wrong."
It looks like, you ever seen when people disassemble mannequins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just
gone.
Oh
They actually reattached both arms.
Right.
Both of them needed.
So is it taken off from the shoulder or from the elbow?
It's just above the shoulder.
Right. So we're
Or
talking
just
bicep
there, middle of the arm,
down.
middle of the arm down.
Jesus.
They apparently each required about 8 hours of microsurgeries to reattach the limbs, but both men have reattached and have full use of their arms now, which I gotta say is a fucking miracle.
Yeah. When did they get their arms reattached? 1996, 1997.
97.
I mean
That's a hell of a
that's
feat.
impressive.
Yeah. And it just just thinking about the noise it would have made would have been just fucking horrific. There was
actual flesh tearing.
I don't think you would have heard that. I think you would have just heard the bang of the rope, and then you look down and realize, oh fuck, I've just lost my arm.
Yeah, that'd be like the beach blast noise. You just look down. Where the hell is my arm?
Look down like Saving Private Ryan, like what the fuck. But I googled this, and because it came up as like a thing that was posted on some Reddit thread, and I was like, yeah, bullshit. No,
It's real.
confirmed fucking story. Confirmed story. But I remember like Associated Press or something like that. I was like, oh my god, and I was like, well, there's no way there's any. Oh god, there's photographic evidence. Oh fuck. So yeah, that was my showstopper. Was you can actually sever an arm with a rope if you have 80,000 kilos worth of force being put on it.
Jesus,
it's fucking immense. So
I bet the best way to give that guy PTSD is dangle some rope at
chase him on rope. just make like whip snap noises.
Who's doing that? You're all grounded.
Just that guy wakes up from this and they're like, oh fuck,
nylon rope.
So I've been Colin Graham.
I've been Dom Anderson.
We've been talking Gibberpish, and you can follow us on Twitter at Gibberpish, or you can email the show at gibberpishpodcast@gmail.co.uk.
Yep.
Or .org.
Or.org. Government. We're going to become a government organisation.
Paperwork is in the mail.
Yeah. Written in Creole.
Right.
Every time.
Every time. Right. And we'll see you in the next episode.